Anti-derivative Jill.
Greetings and felicitations.
Hello, I'm Anti-Derivative Jill, and this is Indefinite Lunch in Infinite Combinations number 78. And I'm glad to have you here today. Today we're reviewing the next original series episode in production order, and it's our July 4th episode, the Mega Glory. And I'm so happy to have this great panel today, but I do want to mention one of my most regular co-hosts, Pop Culture Curator, is out sick today, so I hope you feel better soon, Pop, if you listen to this. And he's always a really great addition here. So eat something, feel better.
Best
and
wishes,
also,
Pop.
Yeah, and also thank you for being here, Scotty R37. How are you?
I'm well. My pleasure, and thank you.
Yes. Also today, our special guests are Admiral Teague. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Hello, everybody.
And Sean Carter, from the Sci-Fi Model Guy YouTube channel. Really great.
Hi, everyone.
And also Bird of Prey 5. And how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. And hello, world. It's Bird of Prey 5. Kapla.
Yeah, and also in the chat, we had Franco Walker. He was the first to vote in the poll.
Sweet.
And Orville Nation also.
Nice. Hello, PJ.
Yeah, PJ is here.
The first person to ever endorse saving Star Trek. Thank you, PJ.
And Dark Helmet can't be around, but he said hi. He said have a fun show.
He'll be with me on Friday.
And Snortapoopus. Hello, Snorty.
Poopas.
Somebody has their headphones on a little bit loud, so I can hear a slight echo. Just letting you guys know.
If you hear it too, that means it's real, yeah.
Then Pleasant Valley Picker, hey, he says he can't be here because he starts work. But thank you for stopping by, and hello also to My Mac One for Life. Wait, who's that?
I think that's Herc. I think it's
That's Herc 130. That's right.
That's my guess. I'm not
Flyboy.
I watch a lot of YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to see the next stage of development in that Mustang.
Oh, and hello to Jim's Landscape. He did also receive a link for the show if he wanted to join. And hello to Princess Fiona.
Hail, Princess Fiona.
So awesome to see you guys. Captain Fandom sent me. Oh, Captain Fandom Nerd. Hey, that's cool.
He was live just a little while ago. Yeah, he's starting to do morning shows again.
Oh, good to hear.
Yeah.
And hello to Dadman Walking. So,
hey, Dadman.
For reference to production. Oh yeah.
So how about that jet game, Dadman? We almost won.
Oh, the sports balls. Y'all can throw around all the names of all of those teams. I have no idea what's going on.
The only team that matters today would be the Indians, and they don't use that name anymore.
Yeah,
they are germane to the episode, though.
Native Americans.
Yes, this episode's about the American Guardians, as we call them.
Yes. For reference to production of these episodes, some of the facts I share come from the Star Trek 365 original series book by Paul M. Block and Terry J. Erdman. Of course, I first saw these on the original series reviews on the Cloudburn Times channel with Raquel Briggs. And so I always like to mention that because she's inspired me to look into text for my information rather than just internet sources. And so, with that said, let's check out the Omega Glory. And I'll give away the basic summary from the 365 book, so nobody has to worry about spoilers. You can talk about any part of the episode you like, even though I'm going to be sharing my screen now and starting the slides. And so if there's something you want to talk about and it's not on the screen, you can still talk about it. This is just a visual reference to remind you about the episode if there's something.
Okay. I guess my first thought would be this is
actually wait a second. Okay. I'm going. That's okay. I'm going to give away the basic summary first, and then we can talk.
Got ya.
Yeah. So upon finding the USS Exeter hanging in orbit over the planet Omega 4, Kirk, Spock, and McCoy beam over to the vessel and discover there's no one aboard. No one alive, that is. The Exeter's crew has been reduced to dust, the result of a virulent disease they contracted on the planet's surface. And now Kirk's landing party has also been exposed. Unable to return to the Enterprise, they beam down to Omega 4 and encounter Ron Tracy, the Exeter's captain. Tracy informs them that the disease will remain dormant if they remain on the planet, but Kirk's not satisfied with that prognosis, nor is he pleased to learn that Tracy has opted to provide advanced weaponry to one side of a fierce civil war between the planet's inhabitants, a serious breach of the Prime Directive. Probably the most serious one we've seen yet, and that's the summary for the episode. And so the
our pal Captain Kirk jumps right in there and violates the Prime Directive just as much by the time this is over, but
not just as much. You know what?
Exists.
You know what?
There's no God.
There are lots of violations of the Prime Directive, but I think this is possibly the worst that we've seen yet.
What you call heaven is actually just empty space filled with stars and planets. That's pretty huge.
The Omega Glory first aired on March 1st, 1968. It was written by Gene Roddenberry and directed by Vincent McVitie. And the Orville Nation says
show.
Yeah, he also did Dagger of the Mind. Yeah, he directed other episodes. Orville Nation
Dagger of the Mind has another connection. Sorry, I didn't realize that. Go ahead.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for reviewing these classics, Jill, says Orville Nation. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're going to find out very quickly that Captain Tracy of the Exeter, for one thing, he's a little bit stronger than Captain Kirk, which is shocking. And the other thing is he might be the twin brother of Dr. Van Gelder. They look a lot alike, don't they?
well, maybe they look alike, but I don't think they're twins. But
but Captain Tracy, some of his, yep. I can show you some links to find out about it. Didn't happen. What happened? But by the time season 3 rolls around, by the middle of it, even William Shatner's like, yeah, maybe I don't want you to produce my episode. But
I was under the impression.
What?
Go ahead.
I was under the impression that this was one of the scripts that was originally going to be one of the proposed pilots, and then ultimately the higher ups.
You're correct.
Shelved it indefinitely.
What happened is this script was first penned and the first draft was finalized on April 20th, 1964. So he's thinking Captain Pike on this. This was not written later on. This was first of all, this script was always problematic, but he loved it.
Admiralty, the web of death that you're talking about I think it might be related to the Tholian web, not this episode.
No, it's not. It's this episode.
No, it's this one?
I can give you specifics on that if people want.
Okay,
totally
that is absolutely necessary because I don't remember this part.
Oh, I'll just tip my hand then. You guys can listen to another Star Trek podcast called Enterprise Incidents, which verifies that. And if they're lying, shame on them.
No, they wouldn't be lying. I didn't get a chance to check their transcript.
Not only did I spend 2 hours listening to their show, I spent another hour checking their facts. They're actually very thorough people.
Okay.
This was the idea was from April 20th, 1964. It was maybe who knows if there was another Star Trek episode even started before this, or maybe he had several drafts. But this could have been the Cage. Obviously, we know where No Man Has Gone Before was the a pilot that gets approved. The other potential pilot was Mudd's Women. And just to tell you where we're at here, Gene Roddenberry was so pleased with this idea that he himself submitted it for an Emmy. And there's a failed version of the script that he tossed by the writers of Big Valley.
Yes, that is definitely true. There you go. And the same text, the compendium also says that in the original script, it was the Argentina instead of the Exeter, and that Spock gets shot twice. Of course, surviving because his heart's in a different location. And so I like how the final script has something to do with that, making us worry just a little bit all the same.
Yeah, there's some overlap to other Star Trek episodes, and he had been thinking about this idea because in this episode, we see elements of the Doomsday Machine, Miri, and the Enemy Within.
Mm-hmm. And that scene you just had there, Joe, that was when McCoy said that without we're just 3 or 4 pounds of chemicals because we're ugly bags of mostly water.
He's off by a few pounds, but I think it's like 8 or 9 ounces. But he's essentially correct.
Yes, it's supposed to be 70%, not 90 something percent that he says.
Were they just wrong, or did people believe this in 1967?
The 365 book says total body water content in the human male is approximately 60% and in the female 55%. So when Dr. McCoy tells Kirk that water makes up 96% of our bodies is a bit off by 36%, he'd be a lot closer if he were referring only to the water content of muscle tissue.
I'm sure by the 23rd century we'll be 98% water. I feel more and more made of water every day.
Silly. As for the white crystal.
Yeah, Bruce Lee said be water.
As for the white crystals left behind by the dehydrated crew of the USS Exeter, he says, Jim, the analysis of this so far is potassium 35%, carbon 18%, phosphorus 1%, and calcium 1.5%. The good doctor might have included 65% oxygen, 9.5% hydrogen, and 3.3% nitrogen, plus a plethora of trace chemicals. But he was close enough for TV. After all, he does say so far, implying that he needs to do a more thorough breakdown once he's back in his research lab. Presumably while there, he'll modify his original estimate of carbon content to the actual 18.5%.
Well, and while McCoy was still on the bridge of the Exeter, I thought it was really interesting because obviously it's just a redress of the Enterprise bridge. But the thing, and I'd never noticed this one before, is just to the right of the turbo lift, instead of covering up the Enterprise dedication plaque, it's just an access panel. And I was like, well, that was easy, guys. I guess it's a whole new ship.
Catch.
And even in thank you. And even in the last episode when we had, was it the Excalibur, who was Bob Wesley's ship?
I believe you're correct.
And they didn't even bother to change the chair. At least in the Ultimate Computer, they added a higher back.
Yeah, Bob Wesley had a cooler chair. But you know what? When he got the Commodore thing for being in charge of the Federation Task Force, they're like, we got to get this guy a better chair. It was like Tripp's grandson was the engineer. You know what? I have some notes on the parts we're passing right now. If I could just make a couple of quick points. When I first saw this episode about 4 years of the Redbird ago, I noticed right away that they shoot, we hear Tracy's voice before we see him. This is a common trope to establish someone as a villain, and he's saying forceful things. When we see him, he's shot from the waist up with a slightly up angle. This will be recognizable instantly to anybody who knows history as being a shot copied from very famous movie, Triumph of the Will. Google it. I don't want to say any more about it, but it's about a very bad person. This is very different from the Doomsday Machine as far as the way this captain acts, but I think he may have snapped. They don't seem to put enough work into it. And one plot thing that really struck me as strange is the musical cues are a little off here. They're like, go to magnification 3, brings in an ominous stroke of music that doesn't seem appropriate. So there's small mistakes happening left and right, but hats off to Jerry Fitterman. Well, I would say the choice of music on Magnification 3 was incorrect, and I would also say there's triumphs as well. Jerry Fitterman's job lighting the Enterprise set to make it look as if it's the Exeter really does establish a difference in the ship and makes you feel like you're on another ship. And they add some reverb to make it sound hollow and empty. And in this one, there's no real reason why we can figure out he's not wearing the Delta insignia. There's other sourcing saying that everyone wore it. Maybe Captain Tracy was like, I'm going to put on my first contact shirt. I just don't know. But he should be wearing the Delta uniform, according to most sources.
Well, yes, there was a memo put out that in the future, make sure that everybody's wearing the right emblem by Bob Justman. I do remember reading that somewhere.
Bob Justman wrote 2 memos for this show. He tore one up because he didn't want it written down, that he went to Gene Roddenberry and confronted him that this was not a good episode and it needed that it was all parts of it were good, but the whole was not as good as the sum. And he tore that memo up and talked to him personally. So we don't know what his exact points are, but the same week this happened, the Secretary of State tore up a memo from the Central Intelligence Agency warning Lyndon Baines Johnson of something that they thought was ridiculous. They called it the Tet Offensive.
Well, you're right in terms of Bob Justman. He thought that his notes were much too harsh, so that's why he tore it up. And there's a lot. There are a lot of
15th
action scenes in this episode. A lot of fighting scenes,
yes. And they're well done. They're well done. They're well coordinated. They're some of the better fights we ever get.
Yeah. So yeah, because that in that first scene, the natives are trying to behead one another, and Tracy is taking the side of the Combs, and the Combs are around the Iron Age, and the Yangs are shown to be more primitive. And here it says it took Robert Justman 30 years to break the silence, finally saying, "Oh right, yeah, okay." So that's what you're saying. You got that already.
Right. And on the same day that happens, the CIA's memo is also torn up to Johnson, or we would have been ready for the Tet Offensive. Interesting coincidence, right?
Oh, yeah. And hello to Maria with TNTelly.
Hello.
So great to see you here.
Good day.
And I guess before I let everyone else kind of have their say about this, I'll say the small part first. This is one of New Trek's favorite episodes to use to excuse their ineptitude. It's much maligned in the New Trek propaganda.
Wait, what are you saying? Say that again.
This is one of New Trek's favorite episodes to scapegoat whenever they get in trouble for something.
Okay. Gotcha. Doesn't make sense. It's not that bad.
Well, if you want, I could tell you what they say.
No, that's okay.
I think it's kind of insane.
We can if you want to. You already started. It's kind of like
I'll leave it at this.
One
complaint would be that the Yangs and the Coombs, we give more agency to the Yangs, and that the Coombs are mere cutouts and not characters, and therefore it's istophobic. So I think that one is
that is because actually the Coombs are shown to be more civilized in general, and at the end,
and they're shown as to Captain Tracy.
And shown as a way to, and at the end they're able to come together. Well, the idea is that they're going to be peaceful with one another eventually.
Well, the problem is the Coombs are very subservient and take orders right from Tracy. He's like, do this.
I don't know. I don't see it that. I don't
either. But you asked me what they say. Not many real Star Trek critics will get into the mud with the terrible New Trek. I have chosen to take that as my cross to bear in life. So,
but I also want to say hello to Cinema Gulp.
Hello,
hey, Cinema Gulp.
Yeah, Cinema Gulp's here. So this episode is about how Tracy he's just terrible. He's gone insane. He thinks that there's a natural immunity offered by the planet. Then there's
makes
natural
no
immunity.
sense.
The idea of the natural immunity is there, but he ties that in with the longevity of the planet inhabitants, and he thinks the two are connected, and he thinks he can make a special fountain of youth out of it.
To which I say he's talking to this idea he has to a Vulcan who lives like 200 to 400 years. Like, has he not considered that maybe this race is just extremely long lived? He's not a medical guy. He really is just gone. He's gone insane.
And of course, McCoy makes that point, leave the medicine to the medicine men. And Tracy's judgment is clogged in favor of the war of the side he's taken. And so he's not behaving like a Starfleet officer exactly.
Yeah, so
He's
much of this episode could have been fixed, like the little problems we kind of
Mhm.
have with it that we're starting to talk about. If they'd have just
Right.
said, if McCoy would have just said, he's snapped his crayons, Captain. He's nuts. Some like you said, Admiralty. He's crazy. He's not acting
Yeah,
like a captain.
yeah, that's how he plays it.
Mhm.
And I don't really always like it when the captains or admirals go off the rails without a proper explanation.
Right.
And sometimes there's an explanation, sometimes there's not. But the actor did play it as if he's gone off the rails because he had to figure out something. And that's the same conclusion we're coming to as well.
Oh yeah, which we definitely see a great performance in that regard by him. This actor
And
did a really good job.
he did
All
a great
performances in
job,
this
but
are
the thing
great.
is that
Yeah, all
he says it's
performances in this
impossible.
are great.
They are pretty great. First,
William Shatner's
he
best
says,
performance might be at the end. Honestly, with what he had to work with, that amazing reading of the Constitution,
"Oh
it's still
yes,
kind of inspiring despite all the problems.
absolutely agreed. I love that part." But here, Tracy says that it's impossible to communicate with the Yangs, but our heroes figure out how to do it very quickly. So even if he had found the Fountain of Youth, why didn't have to violate the Prime Directive? He could have just called some scientists over and said, "Starfleet, send some people over and check it out." Because
Well, he says
McCoy
he
ends
knows
up
they're
doing,
coming.
yeah,
He says that he
McCoy
knows
ends,
that they're coming.
but he doesn't say that he's called them.
No, he said, I knew that someone would come looking for me. I'm just sorry it had to be you. Which is strange because this is rare for a Starfleet captain to treat Kirk with respect. He's 20 years older, like all other Starfleet captains we see. And when he talks to Kirk, he's a little nicer to him, actually, than we see people treating him after the incident in court martial, or the way Bob Wesley sort of is like, Kirk, and he's like, oh, this is the great Spock. He's not crazy. No, none of the other captains particularly like Kirk. So the fact that Tracy is being nice to him is conspicuous to me.
I got the feeling he's trying to butter him up a little bit.
Yeah,
you might be right.
I do somewhat disagree with your perception of Bob Wesley, but yeah, it is rare. It doesn't happen very often when Kirk shows up and it's like, oh, Jim, good to see you.
No, I called Bob Wesley this morning. He told me he hates Captain Kirk. So I got that on authority. Scotty, yeah, no, I was on the holocron with him today.
But I like how that there are sort of echoes of this.
I don't think so. Yeah, I do disagree with that. I think just calling him a dunce doesn't mean that he doesn't like him. He was just really excited about the ultimate creature. He was really excited about M5.
You know what, ladies and gentlemen, you can take Admiral Teague's theory for what it's worth, but when you rewatch old Star Trek and you see him interacting with other captains, keep that one in mind. I don't think the treatment he gets in court martial is different than the way he's usually treated. He is Captain Kirk, so he's game, and he's always going to go in there trying to be as nice and polite as possible. He's going to try to charm you, and if you're a woman, charm the skirt off you. But the fact of the matter is, we see other people scoffing at him a few times, and you can make your own decision on that one. But I think that we do kind of know he's the youngest captain, so maybe other people are a little.
Snortopupus Cuber in the chat says, from a final draft shooting script cut from the episode, McCoy says, Jim, the parallel's too close. They seem completely human. Is it possible that? Oh, yeah. There was something that I skipped.
Tracy made that mistake, I guess.
There was something that I skipped from the book that I want to read that is exactly about that. And so I'm going to bring that up a little bit bigger to read it. So it says here, these words from Kirk, these words and the words that follow were not just written for the Yangs, but the Combs as well. Okay, so the Omega Glory arguably holds the inglorious title of the least liked episode of the original series. Gene Roddenberry hadn't expected this. In fact, his script was one of the three, along with Mud's Women and Where No Man Has Gone Before, that the producers had submitted to NBC as a potential second pilot after the network rejected The Cage. One complaint cited by fans is that a society located so far from Earth couldn't have spontaneously developed along the lines so historically similar to Earth, with names like the Yangs for Yankees and Combs for communists. Not to mention the Yangs possessing an American flag, the tattered old glory of the title, and the preamble to the U.S. Constitution. Curiously, the similarities of the Romanesque planet that the Enterprise visited in breaded circuses didn't bother them nearly as much. It's likely the producers assumed that the audience would draw the logical conclusion that the inhabitants of Omega 4 were descendant of Asian and American space explorers, but apparently the viewers needed that information laid out a bit more explicitly. And it was in an earlier version of the script. McCoy says, Jim, the parallel's too close. They seem completely human. Is it possible that? And Kirk says, the result of Earth's early space race? Spock says, quite possible, Captain. They are aggressive enough to be human.
Well,
I can
that
see why
doesn't
they
make
cut
any
that
sense.
out. It's
makes
calling
worse
out the
sense.
major flaw of the episode.
What's that?
Because
Bird, I think Bird was saying something.
I mean, that makes even less sense in terms of the timeline. Only a couple of 100 years early. You know, there's not enough time for a whole civilization to develop and forget about its roots. I mean,
and
it would
live
have had to have
900
been-
years. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have had to have been, you know, people plucked up from ancient alien abductions or something. Even
Exactly.
then, I'm not even sure there's
Which
Which
enough
is something we
timeline.
do.
Alternative.
We do get to see that in the Paradise Syndrome.
And in Voyager.
Voyager has that
37.
episode. Yeah, the 30.
What a great episode.
That's actually a believable episode in terms of, you know, what they might be able to accomplish.
Mhm.
in
I have
that
a lot
time.
of fun with that episode. It's amusing and
But,
entertaining.
I think the major
The dinosaurs.
part I wanted to talk about this episode is because I think not everybody understands, not that it matters, but
That does.
this was the entire purpose of this episode was that it's the 1 in a million or even 1 in a bajillion parallel Earth development, and that it's not any type of cultural contamination. Nobody left a book here. Nobody left technology. Nobody left the Constitution. And also, these people are physiological, identical to human beings. They are human, as far as we can tell. They're humans who just live a long, long time. That's all stuff you have to understand when you're looking at this episode. And you have to deal with it. I mean, I deal with it. That's okay. And I love this episode. I think it's a very good episode. I don't hate it. I'm surprised a lot of people do. I really didn't expect to hear that.
Yeah, with
it's not the
the-
best episode, but I liked it.
Yeah, considering the bread and circuses, I can give
Exactly.
it a pass here too. It's not any different than that.
You know, this episode being shown when it was shown does it a disservice too, because look what it's sandwiched between. Isn't the Ultimate Computer coming and we just did another iconic, or we just did Ultimate Computer and we're heading for another iconic? This episode, I gave it a B+.
Mm-hmm. And that's a fair score there.
I like it. I would be remiss in my duties of researching the new Trek propaganda. if
I
didn't
give
say
it
this
A+.
is their pinata.
Like, well,
I have a question for Bird. You just mentioned about this being like 1 in a, astronomical number chance of being a parallel development. I always thought that bread and circuses also had that parallel because they're the Romans, and then the names of their gods that they were using, like the Jupiter 8 and all those, there's all those direct ties that were to Earth.
and there were other episodes too, I believe, where the planets were, incredibly close. Was it?
Well, Miri had it's like
Yeah, there's a
Earth.
Miri. It was the exact same layout of the continents.
Yeah, which they never go further other than to go, huh? That's interesting.
Well, sure,
the
and
only
also a piece of the action and patterns of force. They all have
Yeah.
Earth culture.
So I think all throughout TOS that what was it? Somebody's law of parallel development.
Mm-hmm.
They bring it up, but I think it's just something we're supposed to believe, that there's a significant number of planets in the galaxy that are very, very similar to Earth.
Yeah, and I let it go like you. I don't let that drag this episode down for me because it is
it's
kind of
basically
like a
cost
callback.
cutting.
Yeah, because like
Just the
Lost
reality
in
of
Space. Yeah, and Lost in Space did this all the time. the aliens they would meet, they would all speak English and they would all like have carnivals and like it was all very
yeah,
very
Lost in
human-like.
Space was fun. You had space cowboys, space pirates, any kind of space, whatever you want.
Mhm.
And hello to Edge of Time and Sandra Feliciano.
Hello.
Great to have you here today.
Hello.
And I also had a little bit here from These Are the Voyages by Mark Cushman about Morgan Woodward, who plays Captain Ron Tracy. Woodward
Captain
said-
Ron.
Yeah.
Tracy
And
Morgan
to,
Woodward, as I like to call him.
To the post you had highlighted for quite a long time about how they appreciated it was Captain Ron, captain of the Exeter. I have to say I do prefer the Captain Ron from the 1992 Martin Short movie than this Captain Ron, but I'll
Yes.
take either.
Kurt Russell.
Let's make a list
wait,
of Captain
that's
Rons.
That's overboard, right? The Martin Short movie. Is it Daniel
No, it's-
Glover as Captain Ron?
There's a Martin Short movie called Captain Ron with Kurt Russell as Captain Ron.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
But
Where
Morgan,
he goes with his family on a wooden
Like a sea cruise.
sailing. What's
hi, Gorilla.
Hey, Gorilla.
old
There
time?
are a lot of
what is that?
there are a lot of chats. I'm going crazy. SP4H, I love you guys.
I love that
Scorf.
look on that last frame, the look that guy gives McCoy. Like, you're not fooling me. I know you're going for the knife.
And apparently that actor was in a couple of Star Trek episodes.
Cloud William, right? Well,
No, Lloyd Keno as Wu. He was
Oh.
apparently he was in Devil in the Dark, and he was in The Man Trap as one of the jumpsuited technicians on the Enterprise. So he's had a long-standing sort of presence in Star Trek, as well as our boy Galloway. Only
Right,
second
Galway,
only to Eddie
Galway.
Paskey, who is in here, but Galloway is played by David L. Ross. Dies in this episode, spoilers, and is back as Lieutenant Galloway in Turnabout Intruder as well. So he gets
that's
better.
right. Galloway also has a twin brother, just like Van Gelder.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, you're right. He was in A Taste of Armageddon. Did you say that? Return of the Archon, City on the Edge of Forever. This is his biggest part here, though, because he gets a death scene, but it's not the last time we'll see him. We'll see him again, like you said, in Turnabout Intruder, but also in The Day of the Dove.
Yes.
But of course, different, named different, not Galloway. There'll be Lieutenant Johnson.
When Captain Tracy Morgan Woodward wastes that red shirt, that was like, there's no redeeming this guy. They're going to have to delete him or something to get out of this mess. When he does that, you're like, whoa, like I knew he was crazy, but like, he lost his own crew. He didn't have a hand in that, but now he just offed Starfleet. So that was an incredible moment. And also,
Yeah, but Lieutenant
kind of
Galloway
messes up
does
McCoy.
go for his phaser.
Point is that Galway may have been trying to stun him, and he could have stunned Galway. He just chooses to delete him.
Kill him,
Yeah,
yeah.
fair
In the
point.
face.
That is a good point.
Very true.
That
And
phaser has
so-
two settings. This is old Star Trek, not new Trek, where they're locked on delete.
So Captain Tracy, played by Morgan Woodward, is 42 in this episode.
What?
And he said, Omega Glory. Yeah,
Well,
he
I
was
feel like it
prematurely
made good
gray.
life choices.
Wait, Captain
about-
Tracy was
He looks
42?
60. He looks 60.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
I'm
I
not
feel
gonna-
so much
I'm
better
not
about
gonna
my
regret
appearance.
drinking hard liquor anymore. Yeah.
Okay. So
Be right back. I'll
Woodward,
get a smoke. I'll be right.
oh, absolutely. Woodward
So I
says
just got
Omega
some
Glory.
cigarette.
My goodness.
I
I
was
got
kidding.
shoes on cigarettes. My God.
Woodward says Omega Glory was simply a good man gone bad, perhaps of some ego-induced insanity. So this is how he's played it, with ego-induced insanity, which makes sense. Captain Tracy didn't become a starship captain by being a jerk or a bad guy. It was just a good man gone bad. That's the way I tried to play him, says Morgan Woodward.
He's like a Bond villain. He's very much like a Bond villain. He sort of, wines and dines and romances, so to speak. Kirk and the other guys tries to play a little elaborate game. Oh, no, I'm not just one man with a phaser. trying to change the future and destiny of this planet. I'm your pal, Captain Tracy. And, that really does say things about how this episode is a little bit like the movie Final Countdown.
Like the World War II time traveling aircraft carrier Final Countdown?
The 1980s super nuclear carrier with F-14s that gets sent back to 1941. Yes.
Kirk Douglas and Martin Sheen.
Yeah.
Correct.
And this is like that?
There's in the sense that one ship would have changed all their technological edge. Scotty, if I sent a supercarrier to intercept the Japanese task force to Pearl Harbor, a 1980s supercarrier with a nuclear engine, and a task force of jets to go up against a World War II armada, I don't know. You can tell me what would happen. I'm sure you have.
Oh no, I've seen the movie,
but I think they'd win. Yeah, I think it's very similar. We take a guy from the future with future tech, we throw him into, let's call it the Iron Age, and he's got a phaser. He's king there, man. Whatever these people are, and by the way, there's no evidence of communism or capitalism in this, but there is a cult of personality for Tracy. They're like, yes, Mr. Firebox, we'll do whatever you say.
Oh, and hello in the chat to Eraserhead. He says, rough paper route, I guess.
That's a good point, Admiral Tika. I hadn't thought of it in those lines that they were kind of like in worship of him. I always wondered, like, why are they just doing what he says? But yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
They might worship his firebox a little more. If I was Captain Tracy, I would sleep in a very high tower that was not burnable. I would be very afraid of what these people would want to do when I go to sleep. I might not let them know I sleep.
Yeah.
That's all he's got on them. He's assessed them as human. And I guess cut things from the script that wouldn't have worked. Like, you can't be 900 years old if you left Earth. What did they leave Earth in like 1100 AD? The people who seeded the Native Americans on that other planet should have been credited to this. Like, they could have been left here by the Cedars, Jim.
The preservers.
Are they the Cedars in the next generation? I think we're all talking about the same thing. Unless we assume there's several races going around doing tag and release experiments where they're grabbing people from one planet.
Seems like there had to have been.
Well, speaking of experiments, McCoy says that the virus that occurs on this planet came to be because of the biological warfare experiments.
Yeah, like we had in the 1990s. Bird and I are survivors of this. Bird, remember those terrible days in the 1990s when they released a bacteriological warfare to beat Khan, Nooney, and Singh?
Yeah, it was unfortunate.
Yeah.
And Bird, you were right. They the Return to Tomorrow touches on that, the seeding into the galaxy.
Oh yeah, that's right. With the beings
Sargon.
who were in the spheres, he said that you might be my children because they spent the episode saying you're my children.
And the penultimate episode of TNG where it's called The Chase, where it's like, the reason why you look the same is not because our wardrobe and makeup department isn't better, but because you were left here by us. And it's like,
No, the second last episode was
good episode, though.
It's true.
The second last episode was with Ro.
I enjoyed that episode because it showed some kind of possible goodness that could happen between the Federation and the Cardassians. Of course, that doesn't happen.
Is the second to last one the one with their children, or is the second to last one the one where the Enterprise computer becomes sentient? Then I'm a little confused.
No, the second to last one is the one where Ro defects to the Maquis.
Well, no, the last one is all good things. So I'm saying the last 1 hour one.
Yeah, that's the Ensign Ro one where she goes to the Maquis.
Well met, sir. Very well.
Mm-hmm.
Towards the end of the run, though, it's a season 6 or 7 episode, The Chase on TNG. You can look it up.
But so Sulu is in this episode. He's in command of the Enterprise, but unfortunately, he doesn't really do too much. I thought that when he found out that whenever Tracy called and said, "Hey, the landing party passed out. We'll take care of them." But why does Sulu buy this? And where is Scotty?
I bet George Takei argued for it. He's like, I'd like to see Shatner die on the planet. Perhaps Captain Sulu would be seeing his future here because the command structure of the ship is gone. Yeah, George Takei. Typically, I don't think it's a coincidence
Okay.
that George Takei misses 2 pleas for help and then takes 2 hours to figure out the second one, or 7 hours and 8 minutes plus whatever other time goes by after Cloud William belts out Captain Kirk with that piece of rebar. Because that's how
Oh
long
yeah,
Spock
that's
says
right.
he's out
Yes,
for.
definitely.
And that
we
line's a
missed-
mistake. That line's a mistake, honestly. It should have been like 2 hours because they've really, it's like far too far. He's out for far too long.
Oh,
for
you're
the events
saying
to
that
have
7
transpired.
hours is too long for you? But yes, you're right. We
7
did miss the
2
funny
would've worked
fight
better.
between the male and the female Yang. And until they hear their worship words like freedom.
Freedom.
And so,
Freedom.
of course.
Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose.
And speaking of which, we've had such a good show so far that I haven't played any of my clips yet, so I'm gonna play all of them right now.
Oh, I thought you meant you had such a good show. You're gonna kick Admiral Teague. Cool, we got clips, guys.
If you've come aboard the ship, you're dead men.
And then, oh, speaking of that guy, that's Carter. That's Dr. Carter from the beginning of the episode.
Now, Sean, that's one of your descendants. I hope you'll leave a note in your family diary saying when you go into Starfleet, don't serve on the Exeter because this guy can survive.
Yeah, I've made that note.
Yeah, it's
And
in the
Ed-
family Bible.
Ed
Oh, yeah.
McCready played Dr. Carter on the Exeter, and he'd been seen before as a mutant boy creature in Miri and a Nazi in Patterns of Force. And so then,
You can't teach me that. I have tried, Captain.
That's a good line. I've always liked that line.
yes, and we missed that part where Spock neck pinches the Yang lady. And yeah, that is a famous line. It's often referenced. A good one.
Does
Freedom.
Picard ever try to pull a neck pinch?
He does.
In Real Trek? In Real Trek, he
I think
does,
he
right?
tries.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Real Trek.
That is a worship word. Yang worship. You will not speak it.
hmm
So they have censorship. We see that. It's like YouTube. This planet is called Omega, but it could be called Euphemism Tube, where we all are now. Remember, chat, you have freedom of speech and we do not. So create that currency by liking this broadcast for Jill. 30 likes is amazing, Jill. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. And I cannot keep up with the chat. Thank you so much, guys, for all of your
Welcome
input.
to my world.
The Exeter
you-
here.
Great
Her
community.
Her 5-year mission is over, says Mark Harkness. But you really think the Federation blew up the Exeter? She's a huge investment of resources. Turn off the life support and do a hard radiation scrubbing.
I personally believe this is the ship they get at the end of Star Trek 4. Sorry, at the end of Star Trek
Oh,
4.
and-
Like, we can clean it up for a few years, keep it on the side. No one really wants to go on the death ship anymore.
And hello to Darius Munchausen. Great to see you. And Grilla's Random Thoughts says, y'all are wrong. Kirk knocked a lady up. He went back in time and dumped her there. And now it's an Alabama colony.
Jeez. No, they
I like
have
that
more.
explanation.
They have too many teeth for that, Gorilla.
By the way, Scotty, I want to congratulate you. We're now 44 minutes into this, and the episode's called Omega Glory, and there's been no glory hole jokes. I'm a bit disappointed, but I admire your restraint.
You are addressing Scotty R37 as he has stepped away from the microphone, but
Is there a better
you
time? I'm just kidding.
Mark Harkness
They'll be
says
back.
the Excalibur is going to need a long rebuild for historic parallels. See USS Franklin and USS Bunker Hill, which were repaired after the devastating damage, made like new. And Darius says, if any Star Trek character is Jill's descendant, it would have to be Amanda. Ooh. And I do want to take some time for the chat. Let's see what I got here. And Franco Walker, yes, of course, hello. And Scotty R37's in the chat. He stepped away, but he's still here. That's the Yorktown. And KR Nut 82 is here listening while eating lunch.
Hi
And
there.
hey, the Comic Relief Crusaders here. Great to see you.
I'll be seeing you in a little while.
Mm-hmm.
All
All
right.
right.
Just Fiona
So I'll start the slide. She says,
Okay.
as someone who recently discovered what that means, gross. Yes, that is
I'm
gross.
sorry
as
that
we said.
Scotty was away from the. I wish I had caught that private chat because I teed that one right up for Scotty to hit a home run with it. But we do what we can.
Mhm.
I threw the wrong
Yeah,
base.
that's unfortunate.
Right, Sean? I threw to the wrong base.
I gotta say, I just want to say hello to everyone in the chat. It's just so weird for me to be on this side of it, but I see a lot of familiar names, and hello to everyone.
We just had a
Yes,
great
hello.
conversation a couple of days ago where we went into an episode that is transcendentally related to this for about an hour. We watched Balance of Terror, but we talked a lot about the Doomsday Machine. And
Yes,
just this is a different kind of broken captain. He goes criminal when he breaks.
This is an idiot.
He's not going to be able to be rehabilitated. He's going to He's going to the Tantive 5 colony or whatever it's called, the Tantalus colony. He's been too much of a jerk. Commodore
Well,
Decker,
that's a
they
good
would have
point.
sent him to a hospital.
Maybe
Decker would have gotten
when
help.
he
This guy's gonna be
realizes,
punished.
dude, maybe when he realizes that he has no chance, that everything's gone wrong, maybe that's why he goes even crazier and even more. Like, he goes from doing the wrong thing to almost being pretty evil, going against Kirk and trying to get him killed.
I would say he's outright evil. He's trying to delete everybody. He deletes a Starfleet Chad. He deletes them. He had a choice. He chose to delete them. And that phase is running low. I would have saved some power for a couple of stuns, maybe a last resort. Gosh only knows why he's not concerned about the amount of power left in his phaser. But one thing I did want to say here on a production note, we only see people with dirty Starfleet uniforms if they're supposed to be messed up and crazy. Ben Finney, Captain Tracy, Commodore Decker. They're all unshaven with dirty shirts, and we don't see that as a normal thing in Star Trek until the very first moments of the Emissary in Deep Space Nine, where we're shown it's normal to get dirty.
Well, wait. What was the pleasure planet they went to when Kirk got in the fight with Finnegan? But that was different. He got in a fight.
You mess your uniform up on the fly. I'm saying when you're walking around filthy, you know what I mean? Shaven.
Well, Tracy was very clean cut in the beginning of this episode.
I think his uniform's still pretty dirty, but the fact that it does get dirty, like he left it all on the field, so to speak, Sean. He was diving into second and everything like that. But he's at this point, I think he's crossed another line, and he knows that, like, not only is his plan to be a rich guy out the window, he can, in a society without money, he really is out of his mind. But he's also, like, he can't go back.
Well, I think what you're saying there is that he's gotten his power through being able to share this phaser technology with the Yangs, or with the Combs, rather.
The technology so much as he wields it himself, right?
And this episode is the first time that we ever reference the power packs on our phasers. We do know that they have a certain amount of energy in them, but
Mark, we just talked about Dr. Carter, and yes, he is the episode's real hero because he's got about half of it figured out for McCoy.
Well, and the situation that Tracy encounters here kind of has echoes in Star Trek Insurrection, where he believes he's found a fountain of youth, and he's looking to sort of get in contact with the Federation and say, "We have a medical resource beyond anything." Well, because he's waiting for someone to come and look for him.
Why?
But he's securing the planet,
falling apart
because he can't go back. He can't go back to the ship. He can't go back to the ship, or he'll die. He's under that impression.
Oh, yeah, I do get that, because he's not a doctor, so he doesn't know that the immunity is going to just take some time and that he's already immune.
He also, there's no one to beam him
that
up.
Makes sense. But why he doesn't immediately contact Starfleet is the part that doesn't make sense to me.
He's stranded on the planet with a short-range communicator.
Just because he wants to secure the planet, that doesn't make sense.
He can't get beamed back to the ship, right? Dr. Carter kind of gives us this exposition quickly. The landing party comes back, but things are friendly on the planet. So Captain Tracy's comfortable to stay behind by himself and try to get things going. He's thinking like, colonization, Federation membership. This is a first contact mission that's unremarkable. A couple hours later, he gets a call from the ship. Don't come back. The landing party turned into salt. So Ron Tracy only has the information he has. And then he's like, beam me back. And the doctor, as we know, knows this. He's like, we're not going to beam you back because that's that. If you stay on the planet, you're safe. That much I've got figured out. And now I'm going to turn to salt. And so Tracy has inaccurate information. He can't leave to warn Star Trek because he's stranded on the planet with short range communicator.
That makes sense.
Otherwise, he would have. Sure he said,
but
they know his position.
He would have. No, you're right. He only had a short range communicator. Let me see what part that's good.
Only in New Trek do the short range communicators broadcast hundreds of light years in the first episode of Picard, which is a big favorite of certain Star Trek pundits, but not me.
Okay, but you would be right, but we don't know whether or not he would have been able to rig some kind of communications or not, because in the episode when he's given the opportunity to communicate with Starfleet, he stops it at every turn.
True.
But here's the thing, Jill. He reported that he was at this planet, and then he stops reporting in, and he says, I knew they'd come looking. So he's got some kind of Machiavellian crazy man plan.
He knew they'd come looking, and he's right about that, but did he send out communications?
They knew where to look for him, didn't they?
Well, the ship had been, they lost contact with him over Omega 4.
It was 6 months. Yeah, Kirk hadn't heard anything about him for 6 months.
Starfleet gets to Kirk and says, we haven't heard the Exeter's missed and this is kind of a little bit of a problem in the script. It should have been a shorter time to make it more believable. Or they should have said, we're so far away and this ship was so far out on these 5-year missions. They went in a different direction. We were the closest rescue ship capable. There are some lines that would have helped this story out a lot. This story is a B+ because it's almost great. It really is almost great. And we see some fantastic acting, especially in this segment, where it's the only time I can think of where we see Captain Kirk lose a fight to just an average outright human. But Ron Tracy's been at the sake or something. took those PEDs that Dr. Mabanga has.
And Princess Fiona says the Phaser 2 power pack is the handle. They are more vague about Phaser 1, but Phaser 2 power pack alone is bigger than the entire Phaser 1 unit. And thank you so much to Matt G, who is right now Taylor Swift, greater than Disney Star Wars, for the $1 super chat.
It's a good name. And by the way, Princess Fiona, I'm holding a Phaser 2 right now. It's the Playmates version. And yes, the Phaser 1 part would seem to snap right off and be its own weapon. So yeah, the power pack would most likely be in the handle and the body of it. And you would imagine that the focusing disc, that the focusing of the beam is handled by that to make it more deadly.
Yeah, so now they're both going to, but it doesn't matter that Tracy won the fight, because now they're both going to be taken prisoner by the Yangs, and Kirk and Spock.
That's right. They realize they both get axe handles to the head at the end of this fight.
Yeah.
So just real quick, Jill, this part here, I there's a line in here. Did the Yangs overtake the Comm Village?
Yes.
They do. Okay, because I think Claude Williams says this is the last of the calm places or something like that.
Ours before was ours again. This was the last coom place.
Okay. Yeah,
and I'm sure all his people and all his people coomed when they heard that. They're like, we won.
Yeah, that's right. Because you hear a lot of whooping and cheering in the background.
What we hear is a Western American, Indian, Native American, what have you. Sound effects of them having what we would assume would be the victory party, because they've unified their planet. This war's been going on for hundreds of years.
Well,
a guy who's 900 years old, and he's just like, he doesn't bother to say, I remember peace. He's like, yep, I've always been at war. Kind of seems to be his default position.
Right. They fought the war that Earth avoided, and that Gene was hoping Earth would avoid. That where the comms took over the planet, and the Yangs have been fighting to get their land back. And I guess some of that was happening here. And of course, this is where we get our battle standard. Some cool music by Fred Steiner, rearranging the Star Spangled Banner.
That's the only original music for this episode.
Yes, this episode uses the fight music quite a bit from Marina.
If may I make one observation about music? If you want to compare Jerry Goldsmith to John Williams, there's only one real way to do it. Both of them have done the Star Spangled Banner. In Poltergeist, you can hear an amazing and ominous and haunting and moving, and if you're an American, somewhat inspiring Star Spangled Banner by Jerry Goldsmith. John Williams has tried 3 times to write the national anthem, including a pretentious and arrogant rewrite of the entire song, and has failed every time and has only done blasé job. So, there's on even
I really
ground,
do love
compare them.
John Williams, though. And Princess Fiona says, I feel like TOS did not do a very good job of addressing the serious nature of concussions and TBI. And yeah, you're absolutely right. I think the biggest offender of that was Miri, when all the children are smacking Kirk on the head with all sorts of various objects. He would have definitely not have survived such assault. But fortunately, he did.
This episode is
us.
very much of its time, right? We also see people go down with a feeble judo chop that's like 4 inches in swing. Not in this episode, but commonly in TOS.
Oh yeah, there's judo chops in this episode. A couple.
Is there? Okay, I didn't remember them specifically. I spent a lot more time researching the facts behind the episode than watching it, though I did watch it.
Well, there's the crime.
What, research?
No, watching the episode, dude. This is awesome.
I wanted to say...
I've seen it a million times. I wanted to do my best job as a pundit.
And yet you still don't know row your boat.
The Yang. Okay, so I wanted to talk about Cloud William, the chief Yang here. And he says, so he's played by Roy Jensen. He was 40 years old. He began his career as a stunt double for Robert Mitchum, whoever that is.
No, you don't know Robert Mitchum? Heavens.
Who's Robert Mitchum?
Just a rough and tumble Western and GI actor. He was in a bunch of stuff. He was in the original Cape Fear. He's been in a bunch. He's a legendary, I want to say, B actor from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s.
Very masculine dude.
Yeah, that guy would have a glass of milk and a steak.
So I guess that Roy Jensen would be very similar if he played a stunt double. He says, I really like playing the nasty heavies. He was identified as a bully in the episode of Wagon Train, Bruiser, The Untouchables, Gunman, and on The Outer Limits, he was a strangler. And
are you talking about Cloud Williams, Jill? I'm sorry.
No. I'm talking about Roy Jensen, who plays Cloud Williams, who started as a stunt double for Robert Mitchum. So all of these roles are Roy Jensen's.
Right. Okay. I'm still confused. We're talking about Cloud William, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. When Sean asked you that, you said no. And then you said, no, I'm talking about Cloud William. You kind of misspoke. So I was like, wow.
We are talking about Cloud William, not Robert Mitchum.
Right. Yeah. No, I got a little confused there. Sorry.
I did. And also, he was an assassin on The Man from U.N.C.L.E., a thug on Get Smart, Bloody Bob Agnew on Cimarron Strip. Oh, and a sledge on Bonanza. Cool. He also says, it was kind of a thrill to do Star Trek because I hadn't done any of those. I had done mostly Western. I think I got the part because I looked good in bearskin. I could mumble the lines.
Guy looks great in bearskin.
So that's another problem I have with this episode. Why exactly can't the Yangs read, but then they can?
And how do they know that he's saying the right thing when he starts to, since they have mangled it so bad, it's like, you've mangled the word so bad, yet they know he's saying it. They're like, you knew how to say it the right way. I'm like, well, then why didn't you guys say it the right way in the whole time,
Yeah.
And also, they're okay with Captain Kirk taking this My favorite, and by the way, this picture right here, Jill.
Yes,
Let
this
me
is
ask you a
great.
question.
I love this
Let me ask you a
picture.
question. May I ask you a question? You know, on my channel, we'll do in-world explanations that make sense.
Yes.
Or, as some people like to call them headcanon. But my feeling is, if it doesn't hold up, it's headcanon. If it holds up, it's in-world explanation.
Okay.
Here's my possible, and this may not be true in Roddenberry's heart. We don't know what he thought. But how about this? Vulcans have been to this planet. We know they explore. This is a Vulcan. Because it's a picture of Spock. It's not even analogous to the devil. It's not like it's like 80%. This is 100% a Vulcan.
It
So
is
I
a
think
good
that
question that is never
suggests
answered.
Suggests the Vulcans have been there. They're like, look
You,
at
you
these
can
crazy
definitely
humans.
ask that question, but the real meaning of this being here is to, I think it's mostly to say to
It's
make
to
a
get
reference
Spock in
to
trouble. Yeah.
no, I think it's to make a reference to when the producers said that Spock looked too much like the devil, especially when he was going to be red at
Yeah,
first.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And they
And
even
the
make
three
in-world reference to it when it's like, if anyone here was to play the devil, Mr. Spock, who do you think it would be? And then he gets all upset and goes back to the science station. Credits roll. Dun, 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 dun. That was in the Halloween episode with the marionettes.
And by the way, as you look at this,
Mhm.
I don't know if this is a Bible as I look at some of this text and the name of the chapters and stuff. It's just like I don't know, the phone book or something, but the illustration's great. It nails us into place of where we're supposed to be. It might be a little over the top, but did anybody doubt that Spock was now in a lot of trouble? And then while the Yangs are pondering what Tracy has said to them, Tracy shows that he's a Starfleet captain by throwing down some more very, very damaging information. You don't believe me? He has no heart.
Yeah, I was just zoomed in. It is the Bible.
It is.
Is
It
it?
says Holy Bible.
I maybe on the outside, but when I zoomed in next to the picture, like I don't remember a book of Haggai. Could it be the Septuagint or the another form of the Bible?
It could. It's something, but I saw. I was reading some of the text. It said mentions of some biblical stuff.
Yes, you're right.
Perhaps the
It
name's
did
cut
look like
off,
it.
and
I
I only
agree.
saw a part of
I
it.
saw word heaven in there.
And the
It
cover
did seem
does
to
say
be
Holy
religious in
Bible.
nature.
You
Oh,
would have
and
thought at the charge of he has no heart, he would have just said, "Well, my heart's over here," and moved his
that's what
head
I
up
was
2
wondering why
inches.
he didn't do that. Yeah, put your ear over here. You can hear heart down here.
There's a few
Just the
small
alien.
problems. There's a few small problems in this episode, like the inappropriate music, like some very inexact dialogue thrown around here and there. And this part where, yeah, Spock could save himself being like, as you can see, I am not
Well,
human. My
although
ancestors escaped this planet.
I suppose it could have been he would have been breaking the prime directive.
Yes, but it's already been broken to hell.
Yeah,
Spock
but
wouldn't
he would,
care. Spock doesn't
and
care.
he would be breaking it himself.
That's
Yeah.
true. And he wouldn't want to do that. And I guess that makes sense. He doesn't want to make a bad situation worse. Because I don't know. I mean, has the cat been out of the bag for interstellar travel for these people? I imagine it has. They can't think that these people just
Boy, would
fallen
it have
from the
helped
heavens.
Would it have helped the story if when
Actually,
we
they
saw
do,
that
don't they?
illustration? When we saw that illustration, you think it would have helped if someone like Spock was like, clearly my ancestors visited this planet.
No, you're right, Bird. They do act as if these people have just fallen from the heavens and stuff. So that maybe they don't know about aliens and things yet. And hello to Canadian Spider-Man. He says,
Spidey.
"Hello from Manitoba.
Hmm.
Yeah, great to see you." Jill might actually recognize Robert Mitchum's face if she saw it.
That's probably true. And I do apologize to the
probably.
chat. I was trying to decide whether or not he was an A-list actor or a B-list actor. I was comparing him to other actors at the time. I will accept the admonishment of the chat in saying that Robert Mitchum was a bitch and A-list actor.
Yes, that's what Princess Fiona says. Mitchum was no B-lister. He was the go-to guy for tough
My
guys
mistake.
and Western war movies. Starred in Night of the Hunter, The Yakuza, and Enemy Below. And they're having this is the final fight scene here between Tracy and Kirk.
And don't forget Cape Fear. He's in both Cape Fears.
And And of course, we missed the part where they did the Pledge of Allegiance, but we're coming up
Oh,
to.
by the way, this was a great shot. Again, you could see an amazing shot the way that knife gets stuck to the ground. This character
like
is
that.
named Sierra, and we can see Kevin Sorbo's father behind Bones there. But that character named, if you go to the next frame, it looks just like him.
Sierra is played by Irene Kelly, and she was new to TV and mostly is in minor roles. But next to this Star Trek, her most notable role was the female lead in a little-known but well-regarded 1972 satanic exploitation film called Enter the Devil.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, my parents played that every year at my birthday. We watched Rosemary's Baby and then that.
And this is a good
this
time
is the
to
one
mention
character. So this is the one character we could have probably cut from this budget challenged episode that goes one day over in shooting and cost them a little more money. And whatever $3,000 was to them back then, adjusted for inflation using the Bureau of Labor Statistics calculator. But this went a day over, cost them a little more money. They didn't have the extras to really sell a big amount or a large army. We don't see more than, say, 25 people. They do the best they can. It's shot well, but one character we easily could have lived without was Sierra. I had to watch it twice to get her name.
We could have, but it was a fun way to show Spock's telepathic abilities.
Yeah, I just would have given it to Cloud William.
It did make that jailbreak scene. She was kind of necessary for that scene.
You're right. She might have enabled that, and we also saw how cruel the Coombs were. They were going to delete them both, but yeah.
Yeah, and then this is probably they had already paid her for the day. Okay, grab the communicator. You're still on the clock.
But it was also one of the things that sort of fueled the fire of Spock's sex appeal, is that he did have a certain way with the ladies, and so when he was sort of exacting his Vulcan telepathic abilities, the ladies went wild for it.
Oh, and hello to DJ Play Nice.
Hello, DJ Play Nice.
Right. I didn't realize that it was something specific, a power specific to manipulating women. Like, I didn't, like, where was that listed? I don't know. I thought it was anybody, because Spock has manipulated men before, too, to trick them into thinking that they'd already escaped, allowing them to escape. So it's Spock can manipulate anyone. I'm glad it came to that and never ended up being a thing where it was just for women.
True, that is true, but it definitely added to the appeal.
That elder was one of our Organians. Now,
Sulu, he was the little guy. Yeah.
Now, 2 hours after Sulu's gotten his second clue that everything's off the rails and I need help really bad, he's like, well, I'm sure they've done away with Shatner by now. I'm in command of the ship, and let's go down there and just make a good show of this.
So Snortapoopa says if you eliminated Sierra, who was going to bite Kirk?
Right.
He's right.
I want you to bite me.
Wait, Herc 130. Are you my Mach 1 or are you both?
Herc 130 is lurking.
Called that.
Yeah, he's lurking in the background, catching up on the stream.
Darius.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Darius says to live through World War I, the Great Depression, World War II, the entire Cold War, and see the end of the Soviet Union and the arrival of home computers.
Yeah.
Not to mention it, when we talk about, the attack that Tracy has fended off earlier in this episode, one of the things that everyone says is that the Coombs are completely contemptuous of death, which is something that had been being said since the Korean War. And this episode is filmed in December before it happens. But when this happens, the Viet Cong are attacking extremely hard, and they are also contemptuous of death. So this struck right at the zeitgeist of what was going on without trying to.
Doesn't he say that about the Yangs?
It's the Yangs who attack the village, not the Coms.
Sorry. Right. Okay. The style of attack is the thing that's called out, the contemptuous of human life. But I would point out the Coombs are fairly contemptuous of human life as well.
Just of their enemy, the Yangs, the Caucasians, because the Coms are the Asiatics, as Spock puts it.
Yeah, it's the Asian Bush Wars of your 20th century, Captain.
But like that's the comms are the one in charge of the village, and this is them. This is the Yangs.
You're correct. No, you're correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I apologize. Now I'm being imprecise. The style of attack by the Yangs and what they're maybe they're trying to stand things on their head here for an analogy, but this was the way people reported their experiences of combat in the Korean War, wave upon wave of combatants contemptuous of death. So that's the only thing that they really do to draw another Cold War analogy and sort of underscore what they're trying to go for here. But my gosh, is that like a Greek Hellenistic statue in the back? They didn't know what to do set dressing this.
Yeah.
Look at these 3 words written larger than the rest. Tall words, proud words. We've been to many places, many villages, but none have said these words quite as well as this.
Yeah, and I did put the speech in the chat, and I was wondering who wants to read it, because I do want somebody to read it.
That wasn't on a bridge. Someone can read it.
I'll
yeah,
do
I know.
it.
I noticed that.
Oh, cool.
I know Scotty usually does these things, but I would love to take a crack at it.
Oh, after you, please.
Okay, I'll do the first chat and you do the second.
No, you got to do it all, man. You got to do it all for continuity's sake. What if it gets clipped later? You have to.
Okay.
I insist.
Okay, here we go. And I'll try to do the inflection. So, all right, this was not written for chiefs. Hear me, hear this. Among my people, we carry many such words as this from many lands, many worlds. Many are equally good and are as well respected, but wherever we have gone, no words have said this thing of importance in quite this way. Look at these 3 words written larger than the rest, with a special pride never written before or since. Tall words proudly saying, "We, the people." That which you call id plebnista was not written for the chiefs or the kings or the warriors or the rich and powerful, but for all the people. Down the centuries, you have slurred the meaning of the words. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution. These words and the words that follow were not written only for the Yangs, but for the comms as well. There we go.
Bravo.
Thank you.
Hooray. Thank
Well
you so
done.
much.
Thanks. Tried not to slam my table too hard when he did that.
No, you did perfectly. Yeah, that wasn't too loud. You did
Okay.
perfect. That was really great. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Scotty. I know
I
you're
love
generally
that.
the reader there. I appreciate you handing the torch to me for a moment.
I think we should
know,
all read them. They're that
Yeah.
important.
Yeah,
At least
you know what?
the last few. Look at these
Yeah.
words. Look at these 3 words written larger than the rest, with a special pride never written before or since. Tall words, proudly saying, "We, the people."
Could I just one thing here that amuses me? I've watched this episode enough. Look at these words. No one has ever written them this way before or since. Dude, you know someone written them exactly that way before. That's how you know what it is. And he doesn't read the whole thing. So he's like, these words must apply to everyone or they apply to no one. We have to do exactly what it says. He's like, so on page 5 that you didn't get to where it says kill all the Coombs every Tuesday, that's cool too. All right, no problem. He doesn't read the whole, it's not very thorough. And they allow him to slap this thing that's older than the Shroud of Turin with the back of his hand. It doesn't disintegrate, and they're not freaked out. This is the most sacred thing they have. When he goes after the book and a piece of the action, they're like, hey, that's the book. And that's just one copy. We don't know that they have any more of this. So a little bit, maybe the director would have been like, William, please, Bill, don't hit the document. It's supposed to be like 10,000 years old.
Yeah, and we don't. Yeah, definitely. Okay.
But that line
And
does contradict.
We don't know if the Constitution that they have on this planet is exactly the same as the one we have or not. And which
on page 4 it says, just kidding, it starts over again with the Magna Carta.
especially in the amendments and all of that stuff, that's got to be different. and hopefully more aligned with to bring more meaning to the nature of the government they could pursue on this planet. But that would be an interesting thing to think about, is how they take it forward from this moment, because they do give it a very religious undertone in terms of how much they respect it.
Just
Jill,
passed
did
his
you have
name.
the?
I'm sorry. You just passed his name. This is the end for John Meredith Lucas.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'd never really appreciated him as much as I have going through these episodes, and I wish
It
he
was a-
would have stuck around for
It
season
wasn't up
3.
to him. Gene Roddenberry said he had to go. He had him fired. He made the move himself. It's documented. He felt that it took too much work to get a John Meredith Lucas script up to speed for Star Trek. It was taking 4 and 5 passes when other scripts took 1 and 2. And that also can be found in Enterprise Incidents.
Mm-hmm.
They say it in the episode of Enterprise Incidents about this particular episode. In case
it's going to be a conversation when we actually talk about moving from season 2 into season 3, because so many people leave the show, including Gene Roddenberry, Dorothy Fontana, and Bob Justman. And I wish that these people would have stuck around. Come on.
I have one question about John Meredith Lucas. Does he have a nephew named George, maybe?
What is the reference?
Is there any connection? Well, there's a guy called George Lucas who does some sci-fi, and I'm just wondering, right?
I was thinking George Meredith Lucas. I was like, who's George Meredith Lucas?
No, George Lucas, you may have heard of him. An obscure guy. He did the show that led to Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
They're finally getting his material right now. It was all done terribly up until Disney bought it about 11 years ago. Now it's great. It's great.
So Princess Fiona says, you see, killbots have a preset kill limit. Knowing their weakness, I sent wave after wave of my own men at them until they reached their limit and shut down. Yep, show them the medal I won. Oh, she's doing Futurama.
Yeah.
Question to Jill: did you mention the original air date for this one? Maybe I'm forgetting.
Yes, I did. I think. Okay, so I have that information in my notes here.
I believe it's March 15th, 1968.
Okay, I was just curious, like maybe did they air it near the 4th of July or something?
This episode aired March 1st.
Okay, sorry, I was off by 16 days, 58 years later. I did my best.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe it was like a 4th of July style episode or something that they chose to air.
That's how it became. That's how it is for a lot of people. A lot of Star Trek fans use this as the 4th of July episode.
Unfortunately, right, there's no TV in the summer, so I guess the only thing they could go, is there a patriotic holiday in the wintertime? Not really. There was no Martin Luther King Day yet because Martin Luther King was still walking around.
So I don't know how much longer I have, you guys, so I want to get your reviews and how you feel about this episode before I continue with extra show notes that I have.
Let's let Bird go first. He's the one with the hardest out.
I really enjoyed the episode. I know people have their issues with it, obviously. With all TOS episodes, I'd say there are issues, but they don't make them. They're not. They don't ruin it for me. There's a little bit of. You just got to give it. You got to give it. For the time that these were made in, you have to realize the situations, the realities at the time. This was good sci-fi. I was okay with it. I enjoyed I don't think there was necessarily a moral lesson, but I just enjoyed the script. I enjoyed. It was all done in fun, and I especially liked the fact that out of nowhere, the United States Constitution and an American flag just came out of nowhere to save the day for Captain Kirk to realize what was going on. And these were Americans in space, kind of. So, and they seemed like the bad guys at first. I loved it. I really did. I do think of it as one of the better TOS episodes. In all honesty, I gave it an A plus rating, and I stick by it. I'm happy with it. And thank you for allowing me to come up today and talk about it a bit. But the main part of this was just to remember, because people get confused. Like, I know there are people like, oh, didn't they leave a copy of the Constitution or something? No, this was parallel development. The planet happened to look a lot like Earth. The people actually developed were human beings, completely developed on a different world, and there was no reasons given for any of this to happen other than just the 1,000,000 to 1 shot that human beings evolved completely separately on a whole other planet. There was nothing in canon or in story to think that, they were dropped here or seated here or anything like that. Although maybe there is some debate over that, but I didn't, on the first hearing and the second watching, I didn't hear anything like that. I just always assumed that it was complete parallel debate. It's really it.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed with that last point. And great review. Thank you, Bird.
Thank you.
And Scotty R37?
I'm still of the same opinion as Bird of Prey. Is even when except when it comes to the alternative factor, but even when this is bad, this is really good. It's fun. It's an adventure show, and sometimes getting a little too deep into the details can, you'll see the cracks, of course. But for a show from the 60s, this is just a rip-roaring adventure show. There's a little bit of not parallel, because I know everybody's been talking about parallel Earths, but I just in terms of exploring what other Starfleet captains are up to. I don't know if Tracy is evil. I know he's misguided for sure. I like this. I enjoyed watching it, and again, this is one that when I was rewatching it, I was like, oh, I don't want to see this again. And I watched it, and I was like, actually, that was pretty fun. So I'm giving it an A. I'm taking away a plus. I'll just give it an A. But it's just because I enjoy Captain Tracy. I enjoy the desperation. We get Galloway and Mr. Leslie, which is always a treat. It would have been nice if we had a little Chekhov for Scotty, but I don't know what they would have done. No, it's just fun. I liked it. It's just a fun show to watch on an afternoon.
Well, Scotty sure wouldn't have been fooled.
No.
And Admiral
He
T?
would have started stunning the crew.
You're right. You know what? I think Scotty said it very well. We're on the same page, more or less. I don't know if we could say, because of the circumstances that and the allusions to Moby Dick, that in the Doomsday Machine we get our first Mad Captain. This might be the first ever Mad Captain who still has agency, because Axanar is locked up. So this might be the first time we use the old handy chestnut in Star Trek, Mad Captain. As far as Captain Tracy, he's nothing without his phaser. We talked about the film techniques from a certain period in a certain part of the world that happened in the 1940s to make him look like a certain bad guy. There you go. You could say it. It's not your channel. Why not? Go ahead and say that word. Ron Tracy's uniform shows that he's kind of crazy. The old logo is the odd logo is unexplained. But he seems to respect Kirk, and Kirk absolutely respects him. It shows how much younger Kirk is for his job. Kirk manages to scream Sulu's name into the comm, but Sulu's just doesn't care. He's looking at his future. It's mirror Sulu, more like. He misses Tracy misses the fact that there are races that just live that long. It doesn't enter his mind. It's one of New Trek's favorite episodes. It's still well crafted, but there's little mistakes like Tracy's assessment of lifespan and the mistaken, there's some editing issues with the music and the way it's applied that I don't care for. That I think we're starting to see a little bit of indifference and a little bit of slide, or an episode that couldn't be put back together. Did the Vulcans explore this planet? We have allusions to World War I that end up being thought of as allusions to Vietnam, because the wave attacks were thought of as more of a done sort of thing. But what's going on in the news sort of matches it. We don't see a lot of extras. It inspires the video, beat it. We all know it. You know, when Kirk says, "I told you, don't you ever come around here," and they tie their wrists together and they go at it with to fight it. That's beat it. The only new song is the Star Spangled Banner. And how do they know Kirk is reading this correctly, since they can't? Wouldn't we, if you walked into any house of faith and you grabbed, say, a King James Bible, and you're like, "Forgive one another" is what you think it says. What it actually says is perpetual war and live life like the movie
I don't mean
The
to interrupt
Purge.
your review, but they do explain that it's because he wins the fight against Tracy that they think that he is good and that anything he says is what is right.
I will agree with you that he prevailed over Tracy in single combat, and that's the meta that they use to explain why they listen to him. My point is merely, it doesn't really make sense, because if you think about it, if he walked into even our Congress, let's just take worship out of it. He walks into Congress and he's like, "This, we the people you're reading, you've slurred the word so badly," slaps it, the thing disintegrates in his hand. And he's like, what it really meant was, "You should live your lives like the movie The Purge." And people stood up and started clapping. You know, they would have been a lot more confused. They do pay some attention to the confusion of the Omegans. They don't seem to get it. They're conferring when our heroes leave. So also a massive break when the Prime Directive, when he tells them, "Nope, the stars are actually other worlds." He just tells them, "What you think is heaven is actually the universe and stars in space." So, you know, we just, I guess we decide the Prime, once the Prime Directive's out the window, it's out the window for good, I guess, is the way this show is going to view it from now on. And
yeah, it seemed like Spock was trying to hold on to it, but Kirk let it go.
He tells them about democracy and science. He said, the star, "You've confused the stars with heaven." That's my final note on that one. Thank you very much for having me on this one. I've done both Crazy Captain episodes so far. Thank you.
There you go.
And
also,
you know what? Really quickly, pour one out. Last time I was here, we were graced with none other than, you know, our friend Cardinal Sin. And I'll think of him whenever I watch TOS. I have his challenge coin in front of me. Hail Cardinal Sin.
yeah, I have his challenge coin too. And yes, I definitely miss him. I miss him all the time, and I wish he were here. And what was your score on this episode? I missed
B
it.
plus.
B plus.
I'm
Thank
not
you.
that far off. Me and Scotty are in 80% overlap here. It's a strange day. Ladies and gentlemen, write this down on your calendar. Admiral Teague and Scotty mostly agree.
And hello, and Sean Carter. What do you give this episode?
I pardon me. I give this one a B plus, and I know there's some elements of this episode which just that you get pulled out of it just a little bit, and you got to kind of reset and go back in. And thankfully, the performances just make up for those things and make it an enjoyable episode. Morgan played a wonderful Captain Tracy. I would have liked to seen a little bit more exposition on why he snapped, because he's obviously nutso.
Yeah.
And the training that Starfleet captains get should have overcome that. So like it could have been something as simple as whatever the disease he experienced, just kind of made him lose it, and the seeing his crew die.
I think seeing his crew die is what made him snap. I mean, seeing 400 of your crew die because of you, that's got to take a toll.
Yes, and he's dealing with it a lot differently.
He never talks about it enough. He doesn't talk about it enough. I'm sorry. That's a flaw. He's not like, when my men called down, I heard the screams, some haunting music. It's like, I wanted to save them, Jim. You know what it's like to be a starship commander, and some haunting music that would have really helped him. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say something kind of like that they they do it a little bit differently than Decker dealt with it, and maybe that was the intention. Like, hey, we have to show them reacting a little bit differently, so maybe just Tracy just is in denial. So a little bit more of that would have been nice. It was really hard to swallow the parallel development, not only of the Yankees and all the names that they're giving everything, the Bible, the written English language that didn't, a lot of those things are trying to pull me out of the episode, but it didn't. The performances were good. The story is good. And my favorite part of this whole episode, and it's something we haven't talked, and it's at the end of the speech there that I attempted, where Kirk says that these words must apply to everyone, the Yangs and sorry, it is in there, the comms as well. And that little message right there, I think, is the point of this episode, is that these words are for everybody. And that's what I take away from this. Whenever I think of this episode, I think of that line.
May I just say something to underscore Sean's point? A lot of the people who listen to this show are Americans, and a lot of us believe strongly in our Constitution, our freedom of speech, and other things. Did you know the United States Constitution is written on 12 pages of handwritten parchment in large letters? Every American who has not read this brief document probably should. I advise you to read it. It's brief.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think maybe the Declaration of Independence would have been a more inspiring read, right? Because they read the only part of the Constitution that means anything. And if you think about it, like, what is he going to say next? Like, these words must apply to all men, or they mean nothing, except the part about how some people are only 3/5 as human as other people.
That's the part where I'm unsure. Like, maybe they only have the preamble in common. We don't know how much of it is the same.
They have the Bible. It's way close. This is our society that went off the rails in 1990, in Gene's 1990. Mm-hmm. They fought the war we avoided. Until then, everything was exactly the same. That's the way we're led to believe. And by the way, this might have been the one episode that broke Gene Roddenberry's resolve. He was fighting to have this be the first episode of season 3. And boy, would it have been better if this had been the first episode rather than what we got.
You leave Spock's brain alone, you monkey.
And that's broadcast order. We're going by production order. So I know. We're going to be doing things a little bit differently.
Yeah, no, it kind of shook my resolve when I realized that when we do start season 3, it's going to be a little while until we see Spock's brain.
Well, we have to keep in mind what happened in real life, right? Gene knew the production schedule. Gene knew the airing dates. Gene said, we've got a story for season 3 to start it off. It's only okay. I want to hold back this one. This one's real good. I was going to make this the first one. And they're like, have you read your story, Mr. Roddenberry? He's like, I submitted it for an Emmy. And they're like, Gene,
he likes it.
Start or stop drinking. Well, yeah, but he wrote much better stories than this
and
one.
Speaking of which,
he loves America. That's what comes across.
Yeah, this is definitely not one of my favorites, but I struggle between giving this a B- and a C+ because this has a very strong beginning with the mystery and everybody turning to powder, and that gets you very much into it. And it also has a very strong ending with the potential of uniting these people while trying to undo some of the wrongs that Tracy has committed against this planet. And I enjoy the end. It's very satisfying. But unfortunately, some parts in the middle for me were a little bit weak by comparison. And of course, we have another Starfleet officer going crazy.
Hey, Cinnabuns. Nice to see you.
Yeah, Cinnabon is here. He says all guest ship captains in Trek are crazy. Well,
not Bob Wesley.
Not Bob Wesley. Actually, not a lot of TOS captains are crazy.
Not the guys who all hate Captain Kirk and Court Marshal. They're not crazy. They just don't like him.
Right, some of them. But the main point here is that I do like to point out when something in TOS leads into the rest of Star Trek, and this is definitely one of those things where the bad captain, bad admiral trope definitely begins around here. And
what's the best
it's going to carry on.
Jill? What's the best bad captain? The one with O'Brien and Captain Maxwell? The minstrel boy has gone to... I mean, I love that episode. Is that the best mad captain? And there's no on-screen action. We just hear them.
Oh,
and see them
the
reacting.
one where O'Brien has to sing to him to get him to
They
do the
narrow
right thing.
beam him over, and he's
Okay,
like
yeah, that
Captain
was pretty good.
Maxwell, and he's like,
The
lives
wounded.
at stake. Yeah, that's a great. I love that episode. And the stepfather, the first stepfather, I believe, is the captain. We see
What,
both
in-
stepfathers in
in
TNG.
the
Terry
Pegasus?
O'Quinn.
Yeah,
Is he
but
one
this
of the
trope,
stepfathers? Is he the
this
first
trope
one?
is sometimes good and sometimes bad. Sometimes it's done to good effect, but usually it's a lot of times it's a bit of a pain. But then
The 5
there's
seasons of Star Trek Discovery say Mad Captain sucks, right? Their captain's
There-
been insane since day one.
there's been a few bad fight scenes, and but I don't know. I think that some of them were good. Some of them I didn't have as much fun watching. Except
ask you a
what
question?
saves. I'm sorry. Yes.
I was just gonna say, what did you think of the fight coordination in this, especially our ultimate fight between Tracy and Kirk,
I think
where-
that was the best out of the 3 fights.
and maybe one of the best fights we ever see in this series. Is really well done, really dramatic. The music's canned, but it's perfect, and it's just absolutely just the stakes are very high. We've got something else going on with Spock trying to use some telepathy, and even Bones is trying to work some third-party plan. He's like got some ideas of his own. It's very, very good ending. And some of the greatest acting. It's just that the premise is shaky.
Yeah. So, but what saves this episode for me is in the middle part where Tracy has to find out that there was no special concoction that allows the natives of the planet to live longer, that they just evolved that way, and that tragedy that's interwoven in there makes the episode a lot better.
Yeah, he just goes off the cliff at that point.
Exactly. They just evolved that way, making Tracy even more insane, like you said, off the cliff. But and the
They have
ending,
this
of
thing
course.
here called heroin, Jim. I've been taking it. It's been affecting my judgment. You should try some yourself.
Well, Tracy doesn't take any drugs, fortunately. See, there you go. You
We
made
don't
the
know
episode worse, and so
it's from
and thereby
watching
making
Utrecht
this
propaganda, right? I'll give you the
thereby-
Utrecht reason. We don't see him not doing drugs.
yeah. So you made the episode worse, thereby making this one better. The Indian makes up for it in its attempt to not chastise the Combs, but to help bring everyone together with the Yangs to figure out how to live together. And so I like the message there. It's a sweet and simple message. That's still something really great to hear on the 4th of July. And there are a few clips I haven't played yet, so I'm gonna play some more clips.
I watched this episode with a Native American, and they absolutely hated the entire episode.
Fair enough.
Well, my sister doesn't like Star Trek.
Oh, well, that could also be the problem.
She's a Cherokee. Man,
My
we're adopted in
10-year-old
my
also
family.
doesn't. My 10-year-old also doesn't like this episode. I tried.
That is a worship word. Yang worship.
All that bloodshed for nothing. They drained 4 of our phasers and they still came.
Jeez, how many phasers? I guess he got enough information and enough communication. There must have been a couple of hours before his crew turns into de-icer, where he's just like, send me down a bunch of phasers, send me down a bunch of ammo, because he's like, how does he end up with 5 of them? He stayed behind alone.
It's true. I guess he asked for some, like you said.
He took theirs. He took their phasers, so he's got 3.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, in the course of the episode, the reason is because when William Proudfeather, what is his name? William
Cloud William.
That's him. So Cloud William breaks out of jail, hits Kirk in the head, and then goes back to the other Yangs, and that's when they start running and trying to take over the village. That's when Tracy comes back and says, "You damn fool! You let out that savage, and they came. They took hundreds of them just to draw us out." And so there are other people. Like he's just come back from battle. He's just come back from battle, and so that's why he's in sort of a harried position.
I think
at this
he
point,
just barely escaped getting it deleted. You're right. Yeah, he's a mess. Like it came very closer than it ever came before. You get the impression the first couple of battles is like, watch me go wide beam and take out 3,000 of these guys for fun. Whoop! And now he's like, shit, I got like 25 shots left.
That was another thing I was thinking is him, that one line you just said is where we killed thousands of them. You figure that he would just be a wreck after knowing he just deleted thousands of people.
Well, that's why he's responding the way that he is at that moment,
Yeah.
because he has just come from battle.
Yeah, and that's kind of my thing. Was it helps that thing about him just going off the cliff, like that's
Agreed.
it's
There's
such a
nothing
traumatic
left in
thing. He
there,
just
yeah.
ended 3,000 people, and most people would cry, and he goes the other direction. He kind of
He's
goes
looking
more
to kill a
into
few
the
more.
insanity.
His
He
blood's
feels
up.
he's
He wants to kill
defending
the other Starfleet
like a
people.
fountain of youth.
Yeah.
So
I think by the time we get to this, Scotty, no offense, and you might be right. We can't read Gene Roddenberry's mind anymore, but I think by the
I'm
time
just
we
talking
get
about
to
the
this
episode,
point,
man.
yeah, no, all I'm saying is by the time we get to this point in the episode, we can't really tell whether Tracy is still operating under his criminal enterprise, so to speak, to use a term, to build a fountain of youth, and he doesn't want to believe stuff, or if he's fighting for his life, or if I mean, how much does he know? Did he get it back from his ship? That's the only village of its kind on the planet, sir. The rest are all like the people who. How does he know this situation's so bad? How does he? There's a few problems with this. And,
Well, he's still
I would
under.
say, go ahead.
He's still under the impression that the immunity or the antibodies of the planet. It's not until he comes back and sort of gets, what did you do letting that savage go? And then McCoy tells him the science of the situation. He's still under the impression that you can live forever if you live here.
Miracles! There's no immortality here! All this is for nothing!
That line about the savages is one of the most common defenses for the problems of the filth.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about the film.
I am.
Okay.
It's what I do on my show. I thought I was allowed to talk about my show here. I didn't say it was Star Trek, did I? I said it was the filth. But your objection is noted.
And that's typically my objection on the show, not talking too much about non-Star Trek stuff. But if you do bring it up, you do need to provide the context for what you're talking about.
You bring on Admiral Teague, you bring on Saving Star Trek's philosophy.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm
about
saying what did you say? I missed it.
We're gonna have to review. I made several controversial statements that were gainsaid. I lost
okay,
track.
if you don't want to repeat it. that's
Miracles! There's no immortality here!
No,
All this is for nothing!
I'm making a suggestion.
I'm more than happy to repeat it, but I would like to know which statement we're debating
Oh,
here.
the last one.
About how we don't know if he's operating under a criminal enterprise or not, or how that this is something that is used to excuse some of the terrible stuff we see now that they falsely call Star Trek.
Is that all you're saying? Okay, gotcha.
That's all I was saying. I call out bad Star Trek. Part of what I do, and part of if
one of
people
the
have heard
things
my
I got
community is
you.
we call this out.
Thank you so much to Darius Munchausen for your $2 super chat. He says, "Hail Cardinal Sin," and that had started CS remembers in the chat. And
That's so
yes,
nice.
Definitely, it is. And thank you so much for doing that.
Absolutely.
He's very important to me. And Snorta Poopus Cuber says Tracy was a senior captain, probably already selected for flag rank, therefore already starting to lose his mind.
It would explain his shirt. It would explain the logo on his shirt very well, but it would not explain why Carter had the same logo. It's just like, Captain's gone. I'm going to put on his shirt.
Oh, and Jamalama's here. I don't know individual episode titles, but I've probably seen it. Oh, this is the Omega Glory. And I also missed saying hello to a couple of other people, including Tiger Stripes, who I love very much. I don't know where she is.
Tiger Stripes is here.
She is
Earth 130 is also
somewhere.
here, and AI Show is here.
Yes, the AI Show is another one I missed.
Euler Greg.
Euler Greg. He said this was a great show. This was a great live stream.
I was honored to be part of it.
And thank you for the super sticker, Admiral Teague. You didn't have to do that. You're on the panel. But
whenever I'm on the panel, I like to drop off a little super sticker to show my appreciation.
That's nice. And it's a Hey You pair with the sunglasses.
Yeah.
Cute.
It's
Darius
not so
Munchausen
super
says-
pair.
Yeah, it's not. Oh, yeah. No, all the pairs are
It's
super
mundane pair. It's mundane. Oh, that's right, because they have. No, this one doesn't have a cape. He's mundane pair.
He's cool pair because he's got sunglasses.
And a
Darius
headband.
Munchausen
You got it.
says, "All right, a headband too. He's ready to exercise." Darius Munchausen says Mirror Universe A. Jill doesn't like the way Vulcans suppress their emotions. Yeah, that would definitely be Mirror Universe. And I'd also like to thank Captain Fandom Nerd for another super sticker for $3. Captain Fandom Nerd, I know you said that you wanted to ask for a link, but you were insecure. If you had asked earlier, yeah, I sent you a link now. If you want to come on now and give us your general review, you can give us a short review of what you think of the episode.
Come on, yeah, I love
Yeah,
Captain
come on
Fandom
up.
Nerd.
We have lots of time.
He's a broadcast partner of mine on Thursdays when we do Yellowstone 1923. And wow, thank you to everyone who's been coming by to that. That is wow. I now do Westerns, war movies, and also Star Trek.
Love to see Captain Fandom Nerd come up.
Yeah, me too.
His morning show is great. I finally now know the pacing of how he talks, so I can hold off and let him get a little more in when we do Yellowstone. It's just been a pleasure to broadcast with him. When I lost my biological father, it was very hard to go back on YouTube, but I wanted to, and I didn't want anyone else to be exposed to the stories and the pain and people, giving me their condolences. The only person I felt comfortable asking to do it was Captain Fandom Nerd, and he didn't hesitate. And he was there for me in the darkest hours of my life on YouTube. And by the end of that first hour, I was myself again, and I have to thank him for that.
Oh, that's good. I'm so glad he was there for you during that time, and I'm so sorry you went through that. And I know you just said you didn't want to hear it, but I'm gonna hear it anyway.
No. It's what I was more concerned about was other people on my who are commenting on my panel. They have also lost parents. So while I have to go through a few weeks of, people want to tell me they're sorry, and that's fine. But like to make someone else, go through it with me, like especially if it's been recent or it was traumatic for you. I had to face the very first show either head on alone or with Captain Phantom Nerd, and Captain was there for me, man, and it made a huge difference because some people spiked the football on my father's grave.
Yeah, thank you so much to Captain Phantom Nerd for that, and I need to thank Disney Sheepherder. Thank you so much for your $5 super chat. He says congrats on your monetization. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Best name. Disney Sheepherder is one of the best YouTube names.
This is really cool. Yeah, it really is. And welcome to the panel, Captain Fandom Nerd. I'm so glad you decided to join us.
Hello, Cap.
Hello.
Mark 130 says, you're out of order. You're out of order. This whole stream is out of order. Not really. I just wanted to whip my...
I saw that Al Pacino movie.
Thank you, Herc 130. Scotty R37 says, yes. Okay. That is certainly 3 letters put together. And John Malama says, I appreciate OG Star Trek now more than I did before. And welcome to the panel, Captain Fandom Nerd. Would you like to give us your review and grade letter for this episode? Hello? Oh, maybe he has some trouble with his mic, but if you do figure it out, Captain Fandom Nerd, just let me know. Or did I lose internet connection? Nobody is talking.
I can hear you.
We're here.
Oh, you can hear me? Okay, we're here? Okay, so just interrupt us, Captain Fandom Nerd, if you get your sound figured out.
Yeah, he's gone through the customary 2 Mississippis that I give him to respond. He might be muted or AFK, but I got to tell you this. We have been loving doing Yellowstone together. It's been a lot of fun doing it with him. And wow, the success of that, I got to thank everybody. Those numbers are just wow. Thank you all.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh,
I'm so glad your
Captain
show's
Phantom
going
Nerd's
well.
a goal.
Nemesis of Eden.
Of Eden.
Yeah,
I
Nemesis
believe
of
that
Eden says
is
popping
Scogly's
in to
cousin,
say. Yeah,
right?
he says
Isn't
popping
Nemesis of
in
Eden
to.
Scogly's cousin?
Oh, I thought
Hello,
he was his
Nemesis.
friend. I didn't know. Popping
I
in to say
thought,
hi and leave a like. Hope you're all
might be a
doing
friend.
well today. But
Maybe
no,
they're
you could
both,
be right.
right?
I don't know.
They could be. How about they're both?
I just-
He's friends with his cousin, right? Both
Mhm.
nice guys. Hi, hello, Guardian of Eden. No,
Yeah, they're
Nemesis of
great.
Eden. I'm sorry.
Nemesis of Eden is cool.
Oh, Captain
I
dropped.
love Nemesis. Yes.
Oh, Greg says we.
He's down on Omega 1 trying to enslave the populace so that they can serve him to make the fountain of youth. He beamed down to Omega.
So
Yeah.
while we wait
And-
for Captain Jill, I'm sorry, I'm going to take this quick here. I'm going to bow out. I need to get back downstairs and get to work. My extended
okay.
lunch is now over.
Okay.
Thank you so much, by the
Wow.
way, again, for the constellation. It was a beautiful gift.
You're welcome,
Yes.
sir.
And
Looking
that
at
is
it
so
now.
great that we finished the review way earlier than I normally do, because we got to get through the whole episode with you, and I'm very glad to hear that. Will you please tell us about your channel?
Yes.
And-
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you didn't. Go for
Oh,
it.
okay. Yeah, it's the Sci-Fi Model Guy. I think most of the people here are probably subscribed already, but if not, check it out. I build models and occasionally send one out to people. And I got some cool stuff working on right now, working on the Jupiter 2 and about to start another project that I can't disclose again. But doing a lot of fun stuff. So that's that. And Jill, thank you for letting me be on the panel. I love everyone here. And I think, Bird, this is the second or third time I've been on a panel with you, and this is awesome.
Yeah, I think so. Good to
Yeah.
be on again. Glad to see you.
Yeah, I'm loving bed life. You keep me company at the end of my workday. So,
Thank you so much.
and I hope Mama prays. Is it her brother or nephew? that
Yeah,
was-
brother.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm keeping my fingers crossed on that. And Scotty's
you.
gone, but hail to Scotty and hail to Admiral Teague. And Jill, thank you very much for inviting me on. I really had a good time.
You're welcome, and thank you for being here. You're amazing.
Thanks.
And I can't wait to hear more from you.
Okay. All right, everyone. We'll talk later.
Yeah, have a
Beam
good
me
rest
up.
of your workday.
Will
Bye.
do. Bye.
Ah.
Ooh.
Isn't it funny that I used to go to Sean Carter's cousin's office just to watch him work and pay money to do it?
You did?
You didn't know that?
Seems weird.
You wait a minute.
Um,
You've seen Sean
Bird-
Carter?
Bird-
You've met I didn't know you met
No.
Sean Carter.
I have not met Sean Carter, but I've been up close and personal with his cousin 5 or 6 times, and Bird of Prey knows him too.
Oh really? You do?
Bird of Prey, have you ever heard of something called the 1986 New York Mets?
I mean, I've heard of the 1986 New York Mets.
Gary Carter, Baseball Hall of Famer, is Sean's cousin.
Really?
He's one of 80 people. He's one
Wow.
of 25 position players and pitchers to be starters who have won a New York Mets World Series ring. He is possibly the only Montreal Expo in the Hall of Fame, and is a well-regarded and well-loved person in the city of New York. And I think Bird might be able to verify this. If they build another statue in front of City Field, we've got Tom Seaver. I think that Gary Carter would probably be next, right?
I don't know which statues are there now. So
We're going to get one of
Sure,
Tom Seaver.
I'll say
and we're gonna
yes.
get one. First ballot Hall of Famer Gary Carter, catcher, 19-year Major League career, 5 years at the New York Mets. You know what? I enjoyed paying money to go to his cousin's office to cheer him on while he simply did his job. How many other guests do you have where you can say that?
Yeah, I didn't know his cousin was a baseball player. I didn't really know much about the baseball player to begin with, but
First of all, he's not a baseball player. He is a Baseball Hall of Famer, which is there's only a couple hundred of them over the 147 years of recorded baseball. So one of the most elite of the elite from a position that is hardest to get into the Hall of Fame with, from a team with not much regard and on another team with not much regard. He was a Met and an Expo. But he was a professional. He was a really great baseball player. He was an inspirational person. And he was the only Met you would let watch your kids from that team because they were all crazy except him.
well, I need to step away for a minute, but I want to read this from Cinnabunny, and I want you guys to discuss. After Kirk left, I bet the Yangs wiped out the Combs.
Very possible.
They're already
probably
dead.
a wise deal.
They're already
Wise
dead.
decision.
They're dead by the time they're talking about the Wee Publicity. They're like, they must have pointed the Coombs, the Yangs as well. The Coombs, they mean nothing. The Coombs are like, well, that won't be hard since there are no more Coombs. We got rid of them. Yeah, no problem, Kirk.
And Cinnabon said, "Have a good one. See you later.
Now I
Take
ask you
care,
guys,
Cinnabon."
take care, Cinnabon. Let me ask you guys a question. Do you think they also had Marbury versus Madison on this planet?
Good question.
Yeah, does it say that you can't quarter troops in people's homes? For it's like, on this word right here, you will not put troops in the houses of civilians. This means a lot to the Yanks. Like, how long could Kirk have gone on for? I don't think we would have let him slap our sacred documents. That at that point, for the stretches for me in this episode is that he tells them what they really mean when they think they're saying it right, and they're very quick to drop these long-held beliefs, hundreds and hundreds of years, maybe thousands and thousands of years.
Well, I would say that even though it looks like the Constitution, it clearly had to be written on some different paper, and it's a different technology because
their parchment's stronger than ours.
Right. If it was the same, it would have fallen apart. Like ours is only. I'm hearing an echo with myself.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Okay. But I mean, ours is already would have been falling apart if not under glass and extraordinary.
Ours is under glass in a.
I'm saying it's extraordinary methods are being kept to keep it together.
In fact, it drops 10 floors down below granite and has sealed off in case of a nuclear attack on DC, and it's kept just paces from where we keep the hero model of the Enterprise. Isn't it? It's both in the Smithsonian.
And see, if anything, it should go into the Enterprise, and the Enterprise should drop 10 stories down to protect it in case of a nuclear blast.
Took the words right out of my mouth. Yes, Bird. That's why I love broadcasting with you. You have a great sense of humor, and you never miss a trick. Let me ask you guys, what do you think? Are we starting to see a little bit of chinks at the very, very end of season 3 where they've been fighting with the production people? There's some problems about on the horizon about their time zone that they might have wind of. Somebody's going to be cut, and they're on that list. Do we have any issues? Like for me, like Magnification 3 with the most menacing music was like, bad choice. Finnerman's still on top of his game. The lighting on the other ship, on the Exeter, is fully believable as another ship. But do we think maybe they're hitting things too hard here and they wanted things too much, and that maybe even the rule of cool shows up? Because if we had these people be humans, full-on humans, and hey, Captain Phantom Nerd's back. If they'd been full-on humans, then Tracy's beliefs would have been less crazy. Captain, go ahead.
Hey, Captain, welcome back.
Thank you. Sorry, I had a computer issue.
Jill's just stepped away, but did you have any thoughts about the Omega Glory?
Well, honestly, for the longest time, I didn't care for the episode. And then recently I happened to see it again, and it was one that I had a new appreciation for. So on this one, I had to give it an A.
I'm in the same boat, man.
Does it have anything to do with your father served our country and that the flag and stuff did something to you when you saw it? Because that's what happens to me when I see it. And I hear that Star Spangled Banner. I'm like, I don't care. It is a good episode.
Well, quite honestly, it does have something to do with that.
It does for me, too. That flag was something my father fought under to set other people free against communism, although that's not, even though they use the word, it's not really part of the episode. But yeah, when I hear that very plaintive and sad Star Spangled Banner start to resolve into a more powerful, that's the best application of music in the episode, and the only music written for the episode.
By Fred Steiner.
And no theme for the Exeter, unlike the theme, the Constitution has a theme.
The Constellation?
Constellation, I'm sorry. I bet you when we see the Constitution, it will have a theme as well.
And Captain Phantom Nerd, did you have anything else? and you just have a new appreciation for the episode. I think I'm the same way. Actually, the first time I saw it, I think I didn't appreciate anything except the end, the part that makes you feel patriotic.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
now I appreciate more of the episode than that.
Absolutely. The first time it was just there were so many things I found wrong with it, and it's just like, uh, but like I said, as I've watched it as I've gotten older, um, I've developed a new appreciation for it.
Well, and I sort of I when I the first couple of times that I watched this, like not when I was a kid, but when I sort of found my appreciation for Star Trek, and I watched this, and I was like, well, where is the messaging, and where is the science fiction? And obviously there's stuff in there, but it kind of reminds me of what Nana Visitor says, and it's like, yeah, Star Trek's been a message show for a long time, but the number one aspect of it is that it was entertaining. And so sometimes you can, like, there are definitely message episodes, but sometimes it's just a roaring adventure yarn. And, you get to have fun with it that way. It doesn't always have to, put a button on it with, and this is how we were better people. It's like, no, we're good. We just defeated the bad guy. Hopefully this planet will be on their way again. Bye.
I can't endorse that enough. Scotty, once again, we're on the same page. A rare day, ladies and gentlemen. Play the lottery. I'm going to.
It's a big lottery too.
That's a big lottery, yeah.
And I also wanted to cover how the chat reviews this episode, and they mostly agree, 55% giving it a B, and so that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And 31% gives it an A, and 7% give it a C to an F. 7% each. 7% for C, and for failing, also 7%. And I did expect that for some people to give it an F, and that makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is one of the episodes that is a bit of a controversial one.
It's so weird that you can justify any single grade on the matrix. An A is justified, a B is justified, a C is justified, a D is and you can defend your F. People might disagree with you, but you won't have your facts wrong. You can say things like, isolated, every 5 minutes of this episode works within itself, but when we cobble it together, this 5 minutes doesn't match that 5 minutes, and then we're all so it's confused. This episode could be described as bipolar.
I mean,
there's a great episode in there.
There's some episodes that I would, I'll be watching along, and I'm going, how could you give it that grade? But this is one of the times that I'm having to go, you know what? It's justified. Based on however you're viewing it, it's a justified grade.
I agree with that. Anyone can give it their own grade, and this one is one where I'm not going to fight it. Like, yeah, I can see why you give it an F. And Big Daddy MRI says, please don't drop F-bombs in the chat. Hello, Big Daddy MRI, and also SP4H. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Thank you.
I'm not. Yes, that is very great. They do know how to protect a YouTube channel. And hello.
My wrenches are also amazing, and you know what? We have one in common. Disney Sheepherder is a great wrench. He will look out for your channel, man. You can trust him. He has earned that wrench more than anyone else I know.
And I want to thank Sean Carter for a $5 super chat. Thank you again for having me on and for letting me read that speech. One of my favorites.
Well, and
I'm
Sean,
jealous.
This is one of those things where it's like, even with Return to Tomorrow, I think and I was like, I don't know, am I gonna watch this again? And it's like, and when I do watch it, that speech, like risk is our business, shoots the entire episode up like a point and a half. Like, I think when I went into it thinking it was gonna be like a C+ or a B, and I was like, no, we
can see what you're doing, Jill. You're screen sharing. Not that it matters.
It bumps up. And then with this one, and thanks, Sean, for reading the hear me. hear my words. That speech. It's
You
like,
read it well.
okay, all right, fine. Oh, there's all right. And then it's just like Shatner comes in and just like blows me away. And I'm like, that's just a good speech. That brings it up a whole grade level.
His acting in this is absolutely on point. He's great. That speech he gives, everything about it great. Hear me, hear me. It's so powerful. I don't know how much coaching he even needed for that. I don't know if you tell William Shatner what to do. You just open the door of that dressing room and he comes out like he was struck by lightning.
Jill?
Yeah, hello to Captain Finity.
Did you see my private chat?
I didn't see any private chat.
You should probably.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I will in a little bit, but I'm busy right now.
Yeah, but what you're busy doing is being
I-
publicly broadcast.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I realize
Oh,
that.
okay.
It's
Okay.
fine. I can do what I want.
Stay off my lawn. This is my show.
Jill with the Plasmatics response. I could do what I want, which is a great song by the Plasmatics. You should check out, but a better video.
Mhm.
Maybe it's called "It's My Life," but that's the chorus. I'll do what I want.
Oh, and Admiral Teague says I got a dip for Comic Relief Crusader.
I wasn't going to tell anyone where I was going,
And-
but okay, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Jill,
no,
you're
I
really
know.
generous
You
for
got
mention-
another show you go to.
You're
That's fine.
really generous for mentioning that because there's some overlap.
Okay,
but guys,
so
don't
I'm
come
going
there
to let
till
you
this
go.
is done. Let me just put in my quick plugs really fast, if that's okay.
And Captain Finity, I sent you a DM on Twitter if you're still listening.
Can I just do my little shilling
Of
before I
course.
dip out?
Yes, I'm working on
Okay.
it. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize.
I'm
Yeah, hey,
a
you know,
little...
nobody cares. Don't worry about it. Take your time. You good? Okay. Hey, my name is Admiral Teague. My show's called That's Not Me. That's Scotty.
Hi.
But my name, Scotty. I'm sorry to embarrass you like that. People might have thought that there was insanity coming out of your mouth. They wouldn't have.
It's all right. They know.
I had a good time with you today, buddy. Hey, listen. My name is Admiral Teague, but more important than supporting my show is that out there are people who have tried to protect us, who have stood up for our rights. Please give to disabledamericanveterans.org. I do not touch this money. This is a real charity. It has been validated by real military members on my channel. We have heard from several members in our military in good standing that this organization is good. It is for wounded and disabled American veterans. They helped my father on his deathbed as he struggled through the effects of the wounds taken in Vietnam through Agent Orange. His wife got to sleep. His funeral was more dignified. Everybody was better off for this. If you want to help somebody, try that if you want. And then, I'm Admiral Teague from Saving Star Trek. I'm going to dip now. Jill, I want to thank you so much for having me. This is an episode I've always really loved and enjoyed. It was hard to give it a B+ because it's an A in my heart.
And that's a great message. Thank you very much, Admiral Teague, for joining me today and talking about this episode and what you think about it. And enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much for having me. And everybody, see you tomorrow for 1923 at 3:30 Eastern Time. Bye. Oh, wait, it's tomorrow, Wednesday. Thursday. See you Thursday for 1923. Bye.
Bye.
See you then,
Cheers.
Cap. Bye, guys.
Uh-oh. I hear
That
percolations.
was kind of an aggressive departure. But all right. I hope he has a good day. And hello to Captain Finity. And
Hello there.
And listen to the sounds of coffee.
Indeed.
Now this is a ASMR stream about Captain Finity making coffee. I don't know where we're going. Well, see, because I finished my review early. What's up, Scotty?
No, we're just hanging out. That's the beauty. Usually, like, this is it. I enjoy it, especially with the automatic slides. It's dope. But yeah, and Sean obviously recognizing his Met, his Hall of Fame cousin. Well, I don't have any Hall of Fame.
I think that helped the conversation to have the slides automatic.
Yeah,
it did. It was really good.
But I don't want to go trucking for. Well, I don't know. Wait, Captain, have you seen the Omega Glory?
The Omega Glory.
He
Yes.
told me that he's watched all of the episodes 17 times. Whether this is true or not, I don't know.
What happens? He must have an
I'm
opinion.
Not until I've had my coffee, I'm not.
Alrighty, Roo.
Okay, well, he's just hanging out then. Gorilla says, drop F-bombs so Jill can trade them and I buy a lottery ticket. You can't fake the F-bombs, Gorilla. If you want to buy a lottery ticket, buy a lottery ticket. I don't think it has to be tied to whether or not I'm cursing.
But it is a harbinger of things to come, though. It's awesome because if you say the F-bomb, then when Gorilla wins, he's going to arms victory above his head. F yeah! So it'll kind of work out.
Yeah, and hello, Blade Runner says hello to Captain Infinity. Great
Hello
to see you
there.
here.
He say you Blade Runner. Do we have?
Oh yeah.
Oh, this is obviously the calling card of Admiral Teague and his saving of Star Trek.
Yeah, and if you're looking for Admiral Teague, that's where you can find him to subscribe to his channel. I would have put up his link earlier, but I caught his private chat a little late while I was in the middle of doing something else, and so he caught me like not ready because I was busy, and then he made me doubly busy. So I don't know. I've never had that before. Like I guess at least he told me he had to go. I guess I've had worse. Darius Munchausen says 17 times seems excessive, but not impossible.
Excessive. That's not even a third of the amount of times I've watched Blade Runner. Excessive. It's barely starting.
Gorilla says every time you curse on stream, I win every single time. Yeah.
See, it's good luck.
Yeah, but it's only if it's real. If I just curse for nothing, then eventually I'm gonna curse when it's not meant to happen, and you're not gonna win.
Precisely.
It's like it takes away the magic, right?
Yes.
Sean Carter says, "Okay, I was so lucky. He was my hero."
Mm-hmm.
Says John Malama. Oh, okay. Oh, they're talking about baseballs and the Mets. Thank you, Admiral Teague, for bringing in this baseball stuff. I don't know about. John Malama says, yeah, talking about first ballot HOF teams he played for the Mets. He was in Garden City. Oh, wow.
Was he a Met when you met?
17 times isn't excessive when you grew up on it in reruns. Might be on the low side, actually. Oh, okay. Then he saw it 17 times in the 70s. That makes sense, actually. Sean Carter says, extremely sad how he died so early. He never drank, never did drugs, ate super healthy. Who are they talking about? I don't even know.
Gary Carter? Is his name Gary Carter?
Oh, man.
I wish I don't mean any disrespect. I'm just not much of a Met fan.
You're right. John Malama says Gary Carter. Thank you.
Yes, great. I'm glad
I want to make sure to be correct there.
Of course.
Because I don't mean disrespect either.
Do we obviously we know what the next episode is, and I don't want to rush. I'm just curious. I'm the edge of my seat what we get next week.
Assignment Earth.
Oh, dude! Is that going to be the last episode of the second season, as it is on broadcast order?
Yeah, it's broadcast order and also production order.
Great.
Yeah, that's right.
Which
Sonora
one?
Poop is Assignment Earth. It's time travel.
Always great Trek plot.
It's a lot of fun, but unlike other times in Star Trek, this isn't an accident or whatever. They're going on purpose.
Yeah.
For research.
Lot to discuss with that.
Yeah, right. But to get more of a review, we'll talk about it next week. Stornopupus Cuber says, when returned to Earth, Captain Tracy was court-martialed, found innocent by reason of insanity, and promoted to Fleet Admiral.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thanks for that planet where you eradicated the population, so we can just colonize it now. It's great. That's good. Thanks, pal.
And he also says Tracy was a senior captain, probably already selected for flag rank. Therefore, he already started to lose his mind. Oh yeah, I read that one, but that was a good one. Snortopoopus always brings some really great notes. Cinnabun Bunny says, I feel like you're letting nostalgia of the legacy Trek bias your rating. And
Agreed.
there's no doubt that I
Goddamn
absolutely
right.
love. Yeah, right? I can't argue with this. It's true, but why not? Why not? Because the original series is the best. And so why not? Love it. Give it the love that it deserves.
Well, and with the rose-colored glasses for it, like this is second season of a show that we had no idea how long it was going to be on for. This is actually the episode that they did have the title card at the end of the episode saying Star Trek will return for a third season. Please stop sending letters.
Oh, right. For Bijo Trimble's. Actually, I had something on that in my notes that I completely forgot about. Patty, thank you for reminding me.
But like when you just look back at it as a 60s show, it's just a fun adventure show. And there's not the legacy. You don't. And I didn't have this. People who watched it first run, if you just tuned in this week to watch a good adventure show, I think the people who liked Star Trek, and part of the reason why there was the letter writing campaign is because it was just a fun adventure show with bigger ideas to a more adult or intellectual audience, which is great, which is fantastic.
And yeah, and you're absolutely right, though. On March 1st, the day this episode aired, there was an announcement by NBC that Star Trek would be renewed for a third season. Please do not send any more letters. And during the protests organized by Roddenberry and Bijo Trimble. So out of all of the people that I took pictures with, all of the celebrities I took pictures with at the Star Trek convention, my favorite was the one I got for free with Bijo Trimble.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. And so yeah, definitely. Oh man, I should have prepared something for season 3. I didn't anticipate having all this time left because season 3 is. I guess we'll have to talk about it next week. But it's a whole,
on the eve.
It's a whole nother drama. Yeah.
Yes. Still exciting though. And also season 3 is the season that I've revisited the least. So I'm looking forward to a little bit more of that nostalgia to show up. And like I said earlier, you leave Spock's brain alone because I do really enjoy that episode.
I enjoy it, but I don't know how much I enjoy it. So I'm going to have to wait and see.
We will find out.
Snortopoopus Cuber says, I gave the episode a D because the parallel world aspect of it seemed contrived. I'll upgrade it to a C because I'm feeling nice today. Oh, thanks.
Delightful.
It's a bit too parallel for my liking, says Franco Walker. Oh.
Which makes sense.
The AI show says, a compound of 2 decent ideas, the disease on the ship and the rogue Starfleet officer and warring factions, but adds up to a lackluster episode. Weak writing here. Morgan Woodward is good, though. Yeah, he has such a commanding presence. Even though he turns out, his character, he was a perfect actor to play this role and make it a bit believable. And Snortopoopus Cuber says, go ahead.
Oh, I just want to check out and see whatever else Morgan Woodward was in, because he has gravitas.
Yeah, he was in a lot of Westerns, apparently.
Nice.
People don't correct me, says Snortopoopus. They smack me on the snoot with a rolled up paper or an electric cattle prod. Oh, and Princess Fiona likes the lights of Zatar for the 4th of July.
Is it because of the fireworks?
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, in that case, what's that episode where Jake and Cisco build that Bajoran ship?
Explorers.
That's one of my favorite Deep Space Nine episodes. And that also has fireworks. Nardapoopus says July 4th would be during summer reruns, not original airings. Yeah. Oh, okay. That's why this one didn't make it as a holiday episode. That makes sense. I could hear Tiger Stripe saying this. She says it a bit whenever I hear her on a panel. She says, "Hello, silly old bear." Just Nardapoopus.
He is. It's true.
Mm-hmm. I never thought of this before. How many stars are on that flag? I'm guessing 50.
It's a good question.
I don't know either. Could be 48. It's the same question I have about the Constitution itself that they have that's duplicated. Is it completely duplicated or just the preamble? Tiger Stripe says to Princess Fiona, "You need to be on this panel. Your knowledge bank is unbelievable." I agree. I wish that Princess Fiona could be on the panel. That would be amazing. Oh, Mark Harkness has a question. Anybody know how long a year is on Omega 4?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say a year.
It's a year long. That's true. I back that up. But but it is. We talked about that before on another planet, and they were like, "Oh, it's going to be a day," and it's like, "Well, how long is a day on this planet? Is it a solar, like Earth day? How long?" So Mark, it's a good question. I don't know. It's up there with the flag because I don't think we see the flag unfurled.
No, yeah, we don't. I'm trying to get to the episode. Okay, so their year of the red bird comes once every 11 years, which he's seen 42 times. Multiply it. Wu is 462 years old. There's only reference to time in the episode.
Oh, and Jill.
Yes.
You're referring to the Star Trek Compendium. And
yes.
Apparently it's on page 100 of the Star Trek Compendium that early concepts of Spock having special powers over specifically women. Page 100 of that particular tome.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we did mention that.
So once again, I do have to point out that if you would actually like to get into the psyche of Gene Roddenberry, don't forget to check out Pretty Maids All in a Row. He was a pervert. Yay.
Yeah, but luckily that didn't end up being Spock's character. He ended up having that kind of ability over anyone.
True.
Or maybe not someone who is also telepathic. Maybe he can't trick them.
It only works on the weak-minded. Spock's a Jedi.
Yeah.
Confirmed.
Right? Well, maybe that's where the idea comes from. I have no idea. What George is watching to get inspiration.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, I'm certain there was a little bit lifted from Trek. I'm sure that George Lucas, at least, he was familiar with Star Trek. He had to be.
Yeah. Well, definitely. And so actually all I'm doing is I'm going through the chat and seeing what I missed.
Stark of Iron is here. Hey, Tony.
Oh, hello to Tony, Stark of Iron. Great to see you. I'm so glad you're here. Poopus says, "I pleggy." I can't do it like the guy in the episode, like Cloud. Can you read that, Scotty?
I plegly ianectu flagen tupep like postan.
Huh?
Like, what?
Take the mouthshot. And repeat after
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America.
See, I don't know it off the top of my head because I'm a filthy Canadian.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yay!
I am a fan of America, but I don't know the text as well as perhaps a Native American. I mean, a
Every
person who was
day
born in America.
school, we had to
Yeah,
take
man.
that pledge.
Yes, we did.
Do other countries take pledges? To give their
Did-
school children pledges to take every day?
We had to
I
sing
only
the
had to
Years
national
take
on
anthem
it
end.
every
when I was
day.
in the US in school.
Yeah, we did. Well, in the early 80s, we had to sing the Canadian national anthem, and then we would recite the Lord's Prayer, oddly enough, in public school.
That's
No
something.
Weird.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's
And I
good to
remember
know. I
when it
didn't know
was
about that.
when it was removed, and not to be blasphemous, but it was all like, all right, well, that'll shave off 45 seconds in our day.
We had to do
Taken.
the Pledge of Allegiance and sing "My Country 'Tis of Thee."
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, you had to sing a song? I never had to sing a song. I only did
Yeah.
the pledge.
I can't
Oh.
sing it now, but we did have to every day of elementary school. That
Interesting.
was grades 1 through 5 for me.
Mhm. And add Scotty R37 says BRB. Okay, he'll be right back. That's great. I was forgetting the ship. Oh, his databanks are malfunctioning. Let's see, I think I read that one earlier. If the Enterprise crew spoke Spanish, this episode wouldn't have worked, says Princess Fiona. Yeah, that is definitely something a lot of people are saying in the chat. Why did they know English? That's a recurring theme, I think, in Star Trek, though. It's just so the audience can understand it. And there were a few things I missed in my notes earlier. Oh, right. The remaster effects. The episode included new effect shots of the Enterprise and the Exeter and more of an Earth-like computer-generated Omega core. I don't know that there's that many effects. Let's figure it out. Let's find out. And then we can watch our preview for next week and head out of here. I just noticed your avatar to Captain Finity, and I love it, says Jamalama. Jamalama loves Captain Finity's avatar. And Darius Munchausen says, I remember standing and reciting the Pledge of Allegiance every day in elementary school. But at the time it was explained. No time was it but at no time was it explained, nor did I understand it. It was just a thing that we did at the same time every day. As a rebellious child, I would try to violate the rules in small, harmless ways to get the teacher to elaborate, but they never did. Oh man, they should have explained it to you. And of course, the Star Spangled Banner itself does a better job of explaining the story and just learning American history in general. But yeah, when you're a very little kid, they don't bother to teach you that yet. Let's see what we got here. Well, at least I'm not getting any lag issues. So we can see what the differences are. There's the planet in the original is purple, and then with the CGI effects, it looks a little more Earth-like. So hot. I liked it better purple. Why couldn't we have a purple planet?
Say at least. Well, it does look Earth-like. It's clearly not Earth.
Right. Exactly. But there aren't too many effects. I just want to see what it was. Oh yeah, this is the big one. There's the CGI ships and the originals. Maybe the teacher didn't understand it either, and that could have been the answer, Darius. Why can't I use my left hand, says Darius. Oh, because you got to cover your heart. Oh, you can use your left hand to cover your heart, I guess. Why not? That's a good question. What is the significance of using your right hand? What is the context of that? I agree with KR Net 82. They should have kept it purple. Yeah.
Agreed.
They kept it, it made it a little more alien, and I like that. Okay, well, there you go. There wasn't much in the way of special effects for this one.
No, it seemed that they just it was the addition of the other ship.
Oh, there was one thing that Dorothy Fontana said that I really liked that I didn't get to read. Somebody got nasty about it in one time and said, "Oh, but he was saying that the United States was the greatest kind of political body." And I said, "No, no, no. It's the Declaration of Independence. It's we the people. It's the words, and they're beautiful words. It's the expression of ideas and ideals that he was really talking about, because Gene had great reverence for both the Constitution and the Declaration. He really did. I guess as an old cop and an old Air Corps guy, he had that reverence for the flag, for the institution, but he acknowledged they could be wrong, like he opposed Vietnam. Yet he had reverence for the words in the Declaration of Independence, and he really, really revered Thomas Jefferson as a thinker and writer.
And a slave owner.
And yeah, he did.
Say that these days, you get canceled.
No, but you're right. He was forced. The slaves were thrust upon him in some kind of. There was a. He inherited them, and if he tried to get rid of them, he would have been financially ruined, and he wouldn't have been able to figure out how to be president. But morally speaking, he should have freed his slaves for sure. But then we wouldn't have had him as president. So I don't know. That is a big thing to have to grapple with.
Mm-hmm.
First world problems.
Mm-hmm. Do you think America was first world? That
I
long
guess
ago?
Was there even a first world at the time?
Was there?
I guess it was.
I'm sure he could have figured out a way.
Well, at that point, it would have been the new world, right? They still sort of referred to Europe as being the old world.
Yeah. I think that's where the phrase came from, that Europe was the first world and America was the second world. That's what I read somewhere.
Yeah, then it would be just like so Darius says to Franco Walker, then it would be just like every time the teachers told me to use common sense or refused to explain what that meant. Actually, but if they actually told you to read Common Sense by Thomas Paine, then they would have done you a service, because then you would learn a bit about the American Revolution that way. Blade Runner says, the significance of using your right hand is that the hand you salute, that's the hand you salute with. So you're saluting your heart. Thank you.
Well, there you go.
Our government is just the least worst form of government tried, says Gorilla. The best is the worst.
Oh, here
Yay!
we go. So, yeah, I'm Thomas Jefferson wasn't quite a reluctant slave owner. In fact, he got one of his slaves, Sally Hemings, pregnant. In fact, if I remember rightly, I think she was herself the daughter of his father-in-law.
There was definitely that is definitely true.
So he was hardly a reluctant slave owner.
I,
And you can
I
hear
don't
all
know. I
about it
think
next week on our new show,
Just loved her
Slavery.
very much.
Yeah, he didn't try very hard to free them, I suppose. I keep hearing that he would have lost all of his. He would have been destitute if he did, but I don't know the validity of that. And
I'd certainly be a lot richer if I had slaves. Maybe I should do it.
no, I don't mean that he wouldn't be rich. I mean that he would have been like homeless. Darius Munchausen says, I knew they could not explain something when they defensively claimed I shouldn't have to.
Oh, that's the worst. It's up there with Because I Said So.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I think it's just.
Well,
it's a fair
like
argument.
when people talk about being in tumultuous times of history and they say,
Mhm.
I would have stood up and made the moral decision in this particular adversity. And it's like, well, if it was prevalent in society and everybody was doing it, then you probably would just go with the status quo. Unfortunately, you wouldn't be Spartacus. You would
Well,
just
that
would
was
have
the great
said,
thing
well, this
about
is
the
the way it's
vaccine
done.
That was the great thing about the vaccine mandates, because everyone actually had a historical opportunity to make a decision who they were.
That's true. And some people, their livelihood was at stake. Did they, in a similar fashion, did they want to be homeless or did they want to do what they were forced to be doing in order to survive? And that was really unfortunate that so many people were put in that position, especially when it meant devastating things to their health, possibly. And I was fortunate enough to not have to take it. And hello in the chat to Jim's Landscape. I know I gave you a link, but you never decided to join. But you were welcome
Damn it,
the entire
Jim.
time. In this case, that makes the most sense. Oh, I didn't realize from the beginning. I went all the way back to the beginning of the chat because I'm about to head out. I want to thank everybody for being here, and I'd like to let everybody talk a bit about their channels and then say goodbye to the chat. And so, Daddy R37, do you have anything you want to share?
Well, let's see. The year was no, about my channel. Actually, just recently, I had the great honor of being on Cinema Gulp's panel for the It Was a Bloody Good Year. We talked about 3 Stephen King adaptations, Cujo, The Dead Zone, and Christine. If you want to go and check that out over on Cinema Gulp's channel, that's the most recent thing I've done aside from hanging out with you, Jill. Obviously, I'm like a bad penny. I always turn up. Sometimes I'm on Finity's channel. I get to go. I've been on Sci-Fi Nations. I was just recently on Jim's. And so it's always I just show up sometimes. Sometimes I'm sober, but never guaranteed. But yeah, no, I appreciate it. And obviously I have a blast every Tuesday here with you and on Fridays when it is the invite is extended. It's always one of my favorite things hanging out with you. And thank you again, Bird of Prey 5, Captain Fandom Nerd, and Affinity.
Thank you, Scotty. And Bird of Prey 5, can you tell us about your awesome channel?
Oh, well, thank you. Obviously, my channel, Bird of Prey 5. Get a link at birdofprey5.com or just any YouTube link over there. Live stream mostly Mondays and Fridays are my bed live streams. Wednesdays, I do an Enterprise, Star Trek Enterprise episode, and everything else is kind of up in the air. Do enjoy being guests on other people's channels. Thank you so much, Jill, for inviting me on here. And Captain Fandom Nerd, I try to get onto your streams as well. And Captain Finity, I often listen to you. And Scotty, well, you're always on Jill's channel, so that's where I hear you.
Yay!
So good to hear
Very cool.
everybody. Thanks for having me as part of the community. And that's about it. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I really love your bed lives and everything. So thank you for being here. And also, oh man, I messed it up. Where am I? Okay, so Sean Carter's not here. Captain Fandom Nerd. I couldn't tell because your avatar is a nipple.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah, I'm starting back doing morning brew. It's mainly going to be on Tuesday and Thursday. But other than that, I appear on a few other streams as well. But it's always nice hearing you on, Jill. And thank you for the invite.
You're welcome. I'm glad you could be here. Thank you. And Captain Finity, you weren't here long, but do you have anything you'd like to share?
No, I'm good.
Good. Okay. Looking forward to the graphic novel.
Hooray!
And thank you to everyone in the chat. It's been an amazing chat, and I always wish I had the time to read everything. I do have a little time to look through some of this, but it's always really amazing to see everybody have such amazing in-depth conversations about the episodes and everything that I know I've missed some really cool stuff. And so let me see if I can do a bit of a lightning round here. And oh yeah, Pleasant Valley Picker came in at the beginning, but he had to leave. And yeah. Oh my goodness. Also, Last Son of Tape was here for a minute. I missed that. And Classic Comics, of course, Admiral Teague was on the panel. Storm Poop is Cuber. Orville Nation. I think Orville Nation, is he streaming right now? I think that he's having a show, but I'm not sure. Let's see. Oh, okay. I guess it's later. He's going to have it tomorrow. Okay, so he's going to have a Planetary Union coach stream tomorrow. Not sure who that is, but reminds me of the Orville for some reason, but also having to do with life coaching. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
He's Orville Nation is always trying to do something new, and that's really awesome. So check that out tomorrow around noontime. And hello to Dadman Walking 55, and goodbye also to Dadman Walking 55 because we're about to leave.
Dadman.
And Gavin Blackburn was also here. Who else was here? Ariba Bell was here, and I didn't say hi. Nobody said hi to Ari. I'm so sorry. I missed you. Hello, Ari. And Princess Fiona says Lieutenant Leslie comes back from the dead in this episode. Isn't Lieutenant Leslie just always coming back from the dead, or is it just that one time? From
I think he already died. I think he died once.
Yeah, he died in Obsession, and he came back. Mm-hmm. And Cinema Gulp wants you to check out Starship Exeter, the Press-Ewan intersection video from 2005 if you haven't seen it, in the spirit of Trek. Oh, I haven't seen that.
I'll have to check it out.
This is one of 2 times Spock was able to use telepathy without being in physical contact. He did it in Devil in the Dark, and also he did it in another episode too, in the
By any other name.
Yeah, by any other name. Also, the Armageddon episode, Taste of Armageddon. So he did it a few times actually. I think of 4. The 10%. Oh, when everybody was talking about different bodies having different concentrations of liquid and chemicals in your body, how only 10% lose when you watch Mr. Brown Alliance. Instead of water, I suppose. I'm just guessing what that was about. Cinema Gope also said, I love how the captain of the Exeter is named Captain Ron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a movie I want to revisit now. Thank you for reminding me, Ben.
Yeah, and also Maria with Tiantelli is here. She has a great channel. You got to check her out. She's a priestess. As far as I know. Gavin Blackburn, his review is not as bad as TNG's Code of Honor.
I just realized
bad as that.
I just realized that maybe the people who were doing the dental work on me while I was watching TNG, they were like, I wonder why he wants to watch the racist one.
Franco Walker says this episode is very American history centric. Not being American, I didn't understand it at first when I saw it as a teen, hence the B rating. And so let's see who else was here. Edge of Time was also here.
Hey, all Edge of Time.
And also Sandra Feliciano was lurking,
Sandra.
I know, while she was working. And Classic Comic, Gorilla's Random Thoughts, the AI show, Princess Fiona, Eraserhead.
Hey, Eraserhead.
And, of course, Darius Munchausen.
Of course.
Mm.
And I thought I heard that Nemesis Enforcer was here. That's delightful.
And also the Comic Relief Crusader. If you're looking for something to watch when I leave, then he's live right now. And of course, Matt G. Taylor Swift greater than Disney Star Wars. I think no matter what your opinion is on Taylor Swift, I think that much should be evident. Tiger Stripes. So cool to see you here. And of course, Sean Carter, thank you for being on the panel. And Nemesis of Eden, Blade Runner. And I think that's everyone. No link was sent to my email, as I said 4 times. I sent it to the email that. Oh, I did. I did send it. Did I not send it? Yeah, it even has your logo on it, so I know I sent it. Oh, yeah, the StreamYard link is right there. I put the StreamYard in that, and it is there in the email that I sent to you.
Well, we're sorry we missed you, Jim. Maybe next time.
Yeah, I'm sorry we missed you too. But it was there. I can send you a screenshot. It was definitely there. And so I'll go ahead and play the preview for next time, so you can know a little bit about Assignment Earth.
Can't wait.
And I'll talk to you guys later.
Bye, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Captain Kirk, you interfere with me, you'll change history.
Stop it! Stop it! What are you? In there!
Malfunctioning. Rocket is deviating from program flight path.
You can destroy it, of course.
You can. We're going to lay an H-bomb on somebody somewhere.
Computers indicate an impact somewhere in the heart of the Euro-Asian continent.
Get me the president.
Roberta, you've got to let me finish what I started, or World War III will begin in 6 minutes.
All right, move along. Done. Stop it. Get off of the things. Go outside. Get some food. It's like, it's a time of day where you live. Go do something. Shut up, Snoopy. I don't care. You smoke too much. Let's go. Let's go adventure. Let's go explore.